Yeah.
Where you saw progression or enlightenment or what they call the golden age, it was when they operated on an open epistemology, or like in more simpler terms, an open way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
They promoted new thought, right? And they promoted progress through advancement and constant questioning. They were very skeptical.
Yeah.
You said it right. It's insane how skeptical they were about everything.
They were taught to question everything. So nothing was above critique. So just because something worked, like what they said in Black Panther. I mean, it's still a good quote. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved, right?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sound 14 Podcast. I'm here with Hassan and Anthony. We're back again, and this has been a long time coming. We've been trying to plan this.
Yep.
The both of you together, and I'm glad we can make it happen. Thanks for coming.
It's like the second coming. It's just been taking forever.
I know.
Not exactly that important, but you know.
It's Friday the 30th, and you better believe it.
Yep. I mean, I don't know why you said that, but
it's a David Lynch reference.
Yeah?
It's a David Lynch reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Thanks for...
Yeah.
Shout out to Eloise. Shout out to Eloise. She asked me to do that, and I did it.
Okay.
Actually, this guy's like been my best friend since junior year of high school.
Yeah.
This is something he does. He always just says references out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then you end up finding out the movie that way because he references stuff you don't know about.
Yeah. I'm like the Shrek movies. I'm full of references.
I know, dude. Before we started recording, we were talking about like movies in general and like SpongeBob references and all these different...
It's like part of our culture at this point.
Yeah. So many great... Like, I think American culture in general, it's just based around movies and entertainment. And it's so heavily in that direction. And it's great, like, to be a part of it and to have that as our... Like, grow up with it in our childhood. Like, watch those TV shows. Yeah. Watch those movies. It kind of develops you... I mean, who knows if it's in a good way or a bad way. You see like guns every single...
Yeah. But I do want to say one thing, Shyam, before we continue this movie talk.
Movie?
Dev Mystery?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. So, Dev's family, right? The Mystery family, my brother is best friends, my older brother's best friends with Siobhan Mystery. And Dev said that he was scrolling through his like Instagram feed and he was, scrolling and he saw your... podcast on Instagram and he saw me talking and he was like, holy shit, it's Hassan. And then that's it. And then he was like, he told his brother, and apparently like you guys, you've been friends with like Mystery family members for a while.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast too.
Yeah, so then he was like, oh shit, like Hassan's on the podcast. That's crazy. Yeah. So it was just cool like that happened.
Yep. Yeah, you wanted to say that when we got on.
Yeah.
He literally told me, I can't tell you
until the podcast starts. Because if I did tell you before the podcast starts, I couldn't tell you on the podcast because it would have been scripted. Yeah. We're not about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not about that.
Yep. He also wanted to talk about change because it's on your shirt. Change.
Yeah, I just told you guys I started a clothing brand.
That's right. I didn't see the Instagram notifications till this morning, but I've been busy with school. But thanks for letting me know about that.
And it's been a crazy journey to see it come from an idea to now like actually a shirt. It's
kind of like this when Anthony had the idea of both of us coming on the podcast. Started as an idea, and now we're here.
Yeah, and it was a slow progression at first. I think. Like any idea, it's kind of blurry in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't even know what it's gonna be like.
Thinned out the details
yet.
Yeah,
the details aren't there yet.
It's always rewarding when you see it like kind of happen.
Yeah, that was probably like my favorite part was when the shirt finally came. Like all the design, what happened?
No, you almost said fucking.
You said fucking. Like the shirt finally. You're like
I'm so used to saying like cussing.
No, it's all good. We don't care, man. We don't care.
Okay.
Fuck the sponsors now getting up.
Yeah. No.
Sponsors don't give a fuck either. So So when the shirts finally came and I saw the design I've been working on, because each of the shirts I designed myself, and to see it like from a computer to now like actually a physical thing that people can buy and like wear is amazing to see. And like the brand be changed. Like I really wanted it to impact people and not just have a shirt. Like anybody can make a shirt, but like, what does it mean? Like, what does the logo represent? What do the words represent to people? And that's what I wanted it to be about, was that you could constantly change. Like if you don't like something in your life, you could change that thing. And that's literally been everything about my life, was changing. Like every change that I made led to something better.
Yeah.
And if I didn't change, it was like one of the worst parts of my life. Like the lowest lows was if I didn't change.
Yeah. Speaking of change, I actually saw a video of a guy who kind of said something similar to what you're saying now, but he was talking about how rejection, he didn't view, like he met a friend who didn't view rejection as rejection on its own, like as in the stop. You know, he saw rejection as redirection. So like basically he gave an analogy, which I thought was an interesting analogy, right? Whether you agree with it or not, like, you know, it's up to you. But like the analogy was like this. It was like his friend asked out a girl and she rejected him. And instead of being upset, he was like, yes. And then he was like confused. He was like, why are you, you know, excited about that?
Being single is a win. Being single is a win.
It turns out that he was excited because he said, all right, well, I got rejected by her, so now I know I don't need to pursue her anymore. I'll go ask someone else out. And if they reject me, it just means I'm getting closer and closer to the girl I actually like being asked out, and then she'll say yes. Yeah. And that was like a really interesting way of looking at it.
Deep, bro.
Because he was like, you know, it's just like rejection just means you're getting closer to your goal. Because like, say you apply for jobs, right? If you get rejected from your job, you know, like from like a job application, then like from that philosophy, from that particular point of view, it's just like
you're closer to getting
closer to getting to a place, because now you're being redirected. You're not in that building anymore. You're leaving that building and going to a different building. And if you get rejected from that building, maybe the next building is going to be it. And if it's not that one, it could be the next one. It's just literally rejection. He was seeing it as closer and closer to getting to your goal.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's really interesting. So rejection as redirection. I was like, dang, that is cool. Also, it kind of rhymes, which is also helpful.
That's also a plus to it.
Yep.
And that is a good way of looking at things. And I think the worst place to be is indecision. When you're not knowing whatever way to go, you're not even taking any steps, right? Because I forget, I think it's Jim Rohn who said, like, you'll find out faster if you go a certain direction. If you're walking the wrong direction, you'll find out that it's the wrong direction if you start walking.
Or if you keep like swerving, you know, like I do on the streets. Just kidding. Go for a swerve. You know, it's like harder to get to a current place. Obviously, you know.
It's like when you keep messing up and you're like, why do I keep messing up? You know?
Or if you're like driving in circles and you're like, I want to get somewhere else, but you're just driving in circles.
You know, I see change as like something that's like inevitable. But you know, I hate it that some people are just like against it so much. They're like, oh, I want this to stay the same, or you know, it's just like it should honestly be embraced, in my opinion.
Personally, some things I do think should end, not change, just end. Hear me out. Hear me out.
The British monarchy.
No.
What's the British monarchy go?
I mean, yeah, true. We're getting closer there. But anyway, basically, the
shots fired.
I give an example, a less serious example. Okay, so you know those Star Wars franchise? Yeah. Man, it used to just be 6 movies, right? And then like a couple of TV shows. I was fine with that. I was content with it, but
a few Lego sets.
You know, just every now and then. He knows about that.
Yeah.
He's a big Lego guy, but now it's just like they made like a show. They made a bunch of shows already, and like most of them are bad. But like now they made a new show called Endor, and it might be good or whatever, sure. But like I'm just kind of like, when does it end? You know. The answer is never, because they just made another trilogy, and like that one ended horribly, you know. And
I think they got to a point where they knew the idea worked, and they just want to squeeze the fuck out of it. How much money can we make?
I get it's money. I get that it's money, but look, they could just make money a different way, not by making movies and continuing the story or expanding the lore. They literally could just sell toys forever, and people will buy them forever.
Here's my
problem. I told this to actually my English teacher, because we talked about TV shows a couple of times in 9th grade. Was I told him, like, doesn't it suck though? Is that when, not him specifically, but when you die, anybody listening to this, when you die, they're gonna still keep making those movies. I didn't see that as like, they're making something I love. I'm just mean like my value contribution to it was ultimately super interchangeable. It was replaceable as hell. It was pretty much obsolete to a point that I could no longer service it, which means that I'm not really valuable to them because they'll keep making it even after I die. It has nothing to do with me. It's about the money. And that does kind of bother me because I'm like, dude, some things are meant to end. Some things are meant to be definitive.
Yeah.
It should have just stayed the 6 movies.
Yeah,
what
I
happened
agree.
was they like tried Marvelization, where they were going to keep making movies and stuff, and then they saw that failed. And then they saw the shows were being more successful. And to be honest, the show is probably better for Star Wars because you could develop the character. And
Not Obi-Wan, though. Obi-Wan should have been a movie.
Okay, I think Obi-Wan was okay at parts. I mean, I did feel like the Inquisitor, I forget her name, Reva or whatever.
No, it's not that, dude. It was just most of it was boring and it took place on 2 planets.
Okay, I think if my annoyance with that though is that they saw no one wanted to watch the sequel trilogy, so they're like, there's a ton of prequel fans.
Yeah.
Let's capitalize now. Like all of a sudden now, it's like you've pushed us in the dark for decades at this point. Like everybody was talking shit on the prequels, and then when the fans of it finally grew up, it's like, we can make money off of these fuckers. We can make money off of them. And that's what annoys
Bring the
me.
nostalgia factor back in.
Well, that's why I respected George Lucas to an extent, because at least he was willing to let it
At
end.
least the prequels were different from the original movies. With the sequel trilogy, they're like,
They're just trying to recapture.
Let's repaint the stormtroopers. No one will notice the difference.
They didn't even repaint the stormtroopers, though. It's the same ones.
They repainted the First Order stormtrooper
Like red
for the last movie.
Like the guard, I
shit.
think.
They repainted them red, and they're like, it's a completely different character. Like it's just a bunch of reskins. It's like Battlefront at this point.
Yeah,
you know?
they just painted it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not
like,
gonna do anything.
I just think, I think what went wrong with the sequel trilogy was they didn't have a plan. They were planning everything as it was going out, and that's not the way you did it. Like with George Lucas, he kind of was planning everything out as it went, but like he had people who knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Disney didn't.
Yeah, Disney as a corporation just looks at money.
Yeah.
That's their main
They're
thing. It's
so
like,
soulless. Because, like, obviously,
profit-
no, hear me out. Every company,
like
obviously.
happiest place on earth.
No.
So
But that's soulless. They are soulless. They are soulless. Hear me out. I get that, like, because it's like, current system, every company is going to be driven by profit. I get that. That's how a company works. That's how it operates. A company ceases to exist if they're not somewhat driven by
You're
profit.
gonna get a cease and desist now.
But the thing is that they are especially soulless. They don't even try to be joyful a lot of the times. They don't try to enjoy the work itself. They just see the work as a means to an end.
Yeah, they have meetings for. I think I was reading a book of the former CEO Bob Iger, who's
That's a good book.
former Disney CEO, and he was saying like they have meetings about which Disney princesses and like what makes up a Disney princess. Like what are the characteristics and shit. So they're looking at fine points, like how should the animation be, who should we hire. Like it's not even about the story. Like to make a movie you need like
Heart.
passion, like
You
you
need
need
heart.
heart.
Dude, that's why.
what it's
Because like
about.
when you have like stories driven by boardroom executives and not by like passionate
Creatives.
creators,
Yeah.
then it's gonna suck. It's gonna be a soulless product
Exactly.
because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is that here, this is like an exemplary incident that indicates how like profit driven and soulless like money grubbing Disney is. It's because there were these 2 creators at Disney. I forgot their names. I apologize, but they wanted to make this movie for a long time called Treasure Planet, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's so fucked. I heard the story.
And like basically Disney said that they would let them make the movie only if they made like a really, because they worked at Pixar. They said they only let them make the movie if they made like a really if they made this movie, and they gave them a script already, and they said like a story, not a script, but like the basic outline.
of it,
That you have to make this movie, and this movie has to make a lot of money. Then we'll let you make Treasure Planet. And then they did, and it made a lot of money. Then they made
What was that movie?
I
You
can't
know?
remember.
Okay.
But the second movie was Monsters Inc.
Oh, okay.
And the Monsters Inc. was also successful. No, because like first they did that movie and they made a lot of money, and then they were like, all right, we can make Treasure Planet. They were like, no. First you also got to make this movie as well. And then they made that movie, and then they also made Monsters Inc. And then Monsters Inc. made some total money.
Fantastic
And then
movie.
Disney just went like, all right, I guess you made like 3 successful movies for us. Now you can make Treasure Planet. But it was like went through a
Hate
bunch
the
of
story.
developmental hell and everything. And by the time they made that movie, I love that movie by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's a great movie.
It like combined. It was like a passion project. They had like a lot of
the
ideas.
last hand-drawn animation
It
movie
was
by
one
Disney.
of the last. Yes,
One
it
of
was
the last.
one of the last hand-drawn
Yeah.
animation movies.
And it combined like
and
CG.
it combined CGI and hand-drawn animation, and it was really creative and cool because it was a passion project by the creators.
Yeah.
The creators were making it because they were like, they wanted to make it. They had this idea in their
they had
head,
the
and they had
idea.
it for years and years, and they wanted to make it so much that they worked on other movies that they
didn't
were
want to
careless
assigned,
about,
not
yeah.
that they were passionate about. Those movies are fine, but like they weren't passion projects like this one.
Yeah.
And of course, it went through developmental hell. Disney tried to sabotage them and screw them over multiple times, but then they eventually made the movie, and it bombed. And then Disney officially gave up on hand-drawn animation.
Damn.
I mean, there's some hand-drawn animation movies that were released after that one, but that's only because they were.
The last one
yeah.
officially was Winnie the Pooh in 2011.
Oh
'Cause,
yeah,
because John Lasseter took over.
I
and-
can't remember. Did Princess and the Frog come out before that one?
That came out in 2009.
Okay, yeah, Princess and the Frog was another one, but obviously, like that, they already made the decision that hand-drawn
Yeah.
animation. But apparently, some people viewed it as like Disney's last attempt at recapturing interest in hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is a superior form of animation.
It is
It
amazing.
really is,
Because
honestly.
like, there's nothing you could really replace with the passion of hand-drawn animation because it's painstakingly
It's
like
so
an effort.
painstakingly hard.
Yeah,
Like-
and CGI is expensive, but it's a lot easier than hand-drawn animation.
I was watching a documentary about Walt Disney and Disney Animations when it first started, right? And it was going through the process of how this guy who had this dream to build this company to make these characters, and he hired all these great animators, and they would literally every single scene, or not even scene, it's every second it would have to. Every frame, I should say, has to be drawn.
It's every
each
single
character-
frame.
fluid
Yeah,
animation.
sure. So it's
Yeah.
like this. If you ever
frame by
made a
frame.
stick, like a bunch of sticky notes, you drew a little ball bouncing
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
flip it. That's what it is, but with
Every
highly
frame,
detailed
you
things.
have to change it.
And
Yeah.
if you're making like a 30-minute episode of a TV show, or God forbid, a 2-hour movie, it's thousands upon thousands of frames. It's
yeah.
a lot.
Thousands. And
You have to replicate it
You have
exactly
to match
the same.
the audio to
Yeah,
afterwards.
it's a
to
lot.
them
Yeah. It's a
talking.
lot.
Yeah, that
work,
reminded
man.
me of one of my childhood favorites, Ed and Eddie.
Yeah.
Like that was hand drawn. Danny Antonucci.
Oh, yeah.
That was the last cartoon I believe on Cartoon Network that was hand drawn.
Hand-drawn, yeah.
Unfortunately, they had to switch to Flash in season 3, and he was really upset about that. But
Yeah.
it's like it was so expensive, and an episode in theory should have taken a year to make, but these guys were maniacs and doing it in less than a week. It's insane.
Yeah, dude. And those people had true passion for what they did. Like any person that spends that much time perfecting the craft.
Yeah,
of,
they have you have to love it.
Yeah, you have to love it. And,
I mean, but
and
yeah.
they really did it, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
showed in all the movies. Like I look back to the older movies that Disney has, like Bambi, and what else is there?
Bambi, Snow White,
Pinocchio, like all that
Sleeping
stuff.
Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, all those.
Yeah.
You
Lion
watch
King.
them today, and you could still have like a deep emotion
Yeah,
to the
connection.
movie.
Yeah, there's soul
Right, there's
to
connection.
it. Yeah, there's a heart. You know,
You don't get that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of the
mean,
CGI
yeah.
stuff, not really that much. I mean, there's some good CGI films, sure, but
Yeah.
I still miss 2D animation. I hope one day it makes a comeback in theaters, but like nowadays, hand-drawn animation still exists. It's
Yeah.
not like a archaic art form at this point.
Yeah.
Although it's
There's-
largely
yeah.
looked over.
There's minorities like Gindi Chartakovsky who they're like, still drawing stuff.
Oh, and so where it exists is like overseas. So it's like Korean and Japanese animated,
Even
like
Russian too.
or Russian animated, Eastern European animated like stuff is like gonna be hand drawn and stuff. But
Yeah.
there's also like Netflix. Netflix is a good distributor of animated stuff. Like that movie Klaus on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I love
It's
that
like,
movie,
yeah, it was
bro.
great. I
That's
fucking love the shit out of that movie.
when I saw that for the first time,
I was like, this is Christmas,
finally,
bro.
Finally, a good movie, like
Too bad
something
you're,
that.
yeah, too bad you're not
It's a-
showing that Christmas tree over there because
Yeah,
we're
there's
talking
a-
about a Christmas movie. But there's a Christmas
tree
tree in the
over
room.
there. Yeah.
You're gonna have to take our word for it. But like, yeah, that movie,
Bring
I
the
agree with
dreidel
you. It
out
was
for you.
really good. It was
yeah.
it was also hand drawn, but also had CGI elements to it. It was
Yeah.
a really cool combination
yeah.
of 3D
This wasn't
and
mentioned a
hand-drawn.
lot, but it actually had an endangered language in it. Sami.
Oh yeah,
It's a rare Finnish language in the
Sweden?
Nordic. No, it's
Finland.
Right?
No,
Okay.
the movie takes place. Where does it take place? I don't know where it takes
It
place.
takes
think
place
it's
in
made up, yeah.
Finland, Sweden.
It's
No, it takes
supposed
place
to,
in a
it's
real
supposed
Nordic
to be in
country.
the Nordic countries,
Yeah.
but Sami is like an endangered language because the people were historically persecuted, and I'm sure it must have been really cool for the people to have their like almost extinct language in a film.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah,
It was a cool representation.
And it was overall a great story too.
Yeah, I loved it.
flowed
I loved
well.
it, bro. Christmas movies, if there's like an actual passion behind a Christmas movie, it can be really good. There's so many fucking good movies out of Christmas movies.
Yeah, and I think did it win an award too? I think it won
an award.
Yeah.
But not best animated movie, but it should have. It was pretty
Yeah, it
good.
should have. It's fucking amazing.
I was gonna say because it was better than whatever Pixar released that year. Because Pixar used to be good too. Pixar
used to
started
be
out
good.
as passion projects.
Don't even get
Toy
me
Story
started on
and
that.
Cars, all that
Toy
stuff.
Story, Bugs Life.
The decline of Pixar is just it's
Really
so
sad.
saddening.
Sad,
like,
yeah.
like I see what they made with Toy Story, and then I see Turning Red, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have
Turning
anything,
Red wasn't bad. It
I
just
don't have anything
wasn't.
against it, but it's just I don't like the
They
cartoony
didn't talk
style.
about 9/11 enough.
Even Luca, Luca was what was that? That was like maybe a year
He was
ago. too.
Pixar too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Luca was fine. He just wasn't, great. I
not
didn't feel the
there.
heart.
I think we've gotten to the point where Disney Animated Studio has gotten their act together,
Yeah.
and now they're competing with Pixar.
Yeah, now Disney
Yeah.
is making better movies than
Yeah,
Pixar.
like, yeah.
Well, I'll say this though: the last, I think, really good Pixar movie that I remember, if there was another one, then I don't remember it, was Inside Out.
Inside
yeah,
Out was
that was
pretty
a
good.
really good
I thought
movie.
Inside
Yeah.
Out was pretty good. But
I watched Soul. I think that came out in
that was a
2020.
great one, actually. Yeah, I forgot about
really
that.
good.
That was good, but I just forget that existed sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't
The
really
style
speak to
was
the
a little-
quality if
the
I
style
keep
was a
forgetting
little
about
on
it.
Plus, it came out during COVID, and it was only on Disney
Yeah, it
Plus.
does,
Like
yeah.
it wasn't even in theaters.
I
or
think
anything.
Luca was the first Pixar movie that was straight to Disney Plus because they weren't going to risk it. And then Turning Red also came out straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I think it came out in some theaters, but
Oh yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that because they put a lot of work into it.
Oh,
and then,
Disney really
Yeah.
screwed over Raya and the Last Dragon because
Oh,
they
yeah.
released it on Disney Plus, but you had to pay like $64 for it.
Really?
And even if you had Disney Plus, it was behind a paywall.
It was really bizarre.
And they released it on the same day they released Mulan, but they wanted Mulan to be like more
Yeah.
successful, so
Yeah.
they
It's
championed
weird.
that too.
This
Oh, yeah.
streaming shit is just weird. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many platforms that you don't know which one to get. Like, you like Netflix, but then there's one show you like on
Dude, I'm not
HBO
buying
Max. So you
more.
can't.
I'm not buying any more
I
streaming
don't get
services.
the whole
It's too
releasing
many.
the movie in theater and then releasing it on streaming.
Yeah.
Like that whole controversy
It
that
just
happened
takes
with Black
away
Widow.
from the movie because no. You know what they did this with? They did this with the Batman. The Batman that me and him saw it on my birthday.
Epic.
It was
It was
pretty
epic.
fucking
Yeah,
good
yeah, I
movie.
watched that
Warner
too.
Brothers HBO Max. So they released the movie in theaters, right?
Yeah.
It was like 4 years after it was made. It was delayed multiple times because
Yeah.
they wanted to release it on 2019, but they were still continuing the movie, so like it wasn't finished. So then they wanted to release it in 2020, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So they had to delay it because of COVID. And then they were going to release it in 2021. But I don't know, something else happened. So then they released it in 2022, March of 2022.
You know, in
Jesus
my opinion,
Christ.
the delays were good because the movie ended up.
The
turning
movie
out
ended
well.
up being super fucking good.
Yeah.
I love the hell
I'd
out of
rather
that
have
movie.
a movie that takes its time rather
You
than a
said
rush
earlier
movie.
that you didn't like 3-hour movies like The Irishman, but this movie was 3 hours and you enjoyed it.
I don't know. There's some movies where the time really drags. Like there's others where it completely flies and we're already out of the theater.
Yeah.
But other ones is
Where you
like
get sucked into the story.
Yeah,
like you're
but,
there.
but speaking of the Batman, is
you don't
that
wanna
they
leave.
released it, Warner Bros. Released it in theaters, but then they put it on HBO Max, a streaming service, so you could watch it for free if you had HBO Max.
Yeah.
And then, I think that really affected the movie's, box office. Because they made
And you could
I think it
700
still
million.
made money.
No, go ahead, say it.
I have HBO too, and it was on HBO. Like the channel HBO is like right there as well. So if you had the HBO channel,
I forgot there's an HBO channel.
Yeah, there's an
I,
HBO
I
channel.
just see HBO as a streaming service.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
kind of
see
weird
it
how we
as-
live in that world. Like I remember at one point when I was younger, Hulu was a channel at one point, but now
Really?
it's strictly streaming.
Streaming, yeah.
It's like so
they
bizarre.
might get rid of HBO. Like if it's more profitable to run, a streaming service and the channels like nobody's watching the channel, then might as well cancel the channel and just do the streaming service.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
I think Disney Channel and Disney XD they're already starting to pull the plug because of Disney Plus.
Yeah, pretty much. You have all
Yeah.
the shows there. Like you don't need. Most
but
people
this is
don't
the-
want
this is
to
the
watch
problem,
commercials.
Actually, we think it's a good thing at first, and it is. But
Yeah.
eventually, all the problems that existed at cable are now going to exist on streaming because streaming doesn't have to compete with cable.
yeah.
Therefore, it doesn't have
and
to
there's
distinguish
probably
itself.
different laws too. Like there's strict laws on
They're gonna make.
on
They're
cable.
gonna. They're gonna heighten the streaming service fees just in general, and they're also gonna put it behind. They're gonna put more products behind paywalls.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that too. That like stuff that used to be accessible from like just buying like one pay-per-view or whatever. Yeah. It's like now all of that's gonna be behind paywalls.
Also, they're gonna have
stuff.
ad-inclusive services, so you're gonna have to have ads. And if you don't want ads, they're gonna have like a higher fee for ad-free services.
On the bright side of this will encourage a lot more piracy. Like, that's the good side. Like, I was talking to Hassan earlier that, like, a lot of these companies, they fucking encourage you to do piracy.
Because they're making it impossible to get it any other way.
They remove this stuff from their networks, and it's like, where am I going to watch this? Like, when they were removing all the Cartoon Network content from HBO Max, it's like, well, great. Now I can, go to a pirate service and watch all of that for free.
They got a lot of stuff watched by HBO Max.
They're almost encouraging this stuff. Like they want.
Wait, so they had it at first and then they removed all of it?
You didn't hear? There was the merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery. So the CEO of Discovery, if you know Discovery, they make like nature documentaries.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway,
Discovery.
the CEO of Discovery, he's now the CEO of Warner Brothers and Discovery. It's called Warner Brothers Discovery now.
Okay.
And he just fucking purged HBO Max.
Like, I'm talking Stalin purge.
No, like hundreds. Like 250 shows were removed from HBO Max in a day. Just completely just dropped from the entire streaming service.
Everyone noticed.
Why was he doing it? No one knows exactly why he's doing it. He also canceled a movie that was finished. It was called Batgirl. It might have been bad, it might have been good, whatever. Well, but the thing was that they finished the movie. It cost $100 million to make, and they were going to release it on HBO Max. Yeah. But he canceled the movie after it was made, after they spent that money, and he's not going to streaming. And the footage has been deleted from archives and everything. It's so crazy because the director of the movie found out through Twitter.
He
just created lost media right there.
Yeah, dude. He just Okay, the bright side.
Why would they let
is,
that happen though?
Why? No, why did he decide to do it?
Is it that
some people suspect
such a large corporation? It's not just the CEO that makes one decision and then fucking everything happens.
I know, but like what happens is CEOs have a lot of autonomy. They do because they're the chief executive officers. I know there's board of meetings that they're beholden to. I get that, but the board did not. What happens is that if the CEO makes a decision that reflects poorly on the company's shareholder values, then that's when the board steps in and they hold a meeting and they say, look, we're going to give him a stern talking to, and if he makes us upset, then we're going to vote to kick him out. That's how board meetings work, right?
Yeah.
But the board is not upset with this decision for some reason. So some people are suspecting foul play because they're like, this is really odd. No company in the history of humanity has scrapped a project that cost $100 million before even trying to make a profit out of it.
And plus, they own all those shows.
Exactly.
Like they can have it on the streaming
They could still
platform.
make money off of it somehow. But the thing is that people suspect foul play. So some people are assuming this hasn't been proven. So this is just alleged so far. Is that like they did this? They canceled these projects for tax write-offs.
Yeah,
because they already spent the money and they paid the taxes for like all the other expenses they paid for it. But if you cancel a movie, it doesn't release. Therefore, you didn't use the money.
Yeah.
So
Don't they get like insurance money out of it?
Yeah, from the government. So the government writes them back the check of the money that they spent through the tax refunds that they did for it. So that way they can make money through tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So that's what people are suspecting they did. And honestly, I don't really see why else he would do this. So that's kind of what I believe.
Damn.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else comes up. And it's so crazy. Because the thing is that like maybe the movie would suck, but the thing is that so many people put so much effort into it. There was so much passion behind it. At least release the goddamn thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be one of Brendan Fraser's comeback movies.
Brandon Fraser. You know Brandon Fraser?
No,
he was the Mummy guy.
Yeah,
he was the guy in the Mummy movies.
Oh, okay.
He was the main guy. Yep. He hadn't been in movies for a while because he was like sexually assaulted by like a chief.
Not only that, a lot of back injuries.
And a Hollywood executive guy just like assaulted him, and then he told people about it, but no one believed him, so then he was blacklisted.
Damn.
But it was true. And, he hadn't been in movies for decades. So this was going to be a comeback for him. He was going to be the villain in the movie, but now it's not happening.
Shit.
And then the actress who played Batgirl, she wanted to be Batgirl since a little kid. And then she auditioned and everything on her Instagram. She had like pinned the back costume.
Probably, like,
she got paid, but
they probably got write-offs.
Some people, like to them, what's more important than money is the passion behind the stuff they're doing. The money is just an add-on.
It really puts into perspective how fortunate we are that movies even get made because there's so much headaches
that goes into it, and also you got to deal with so much red tape sometimes.
Yeah,
you got to deal with
there's
the
so many
bureaucrats.
people involved. Like I was watching a short documentary on a feature film. This guy Danny Jurowitz is making. He's like a filmmaker, cinematographer that makes like YouTube videos, and he was making this feature film that he wrote himself. and the amount of work that goes into planning and organizing locations, how things should be set when you go there. Is it like what's the room going to be looking like? Where should the camera be? Where should the lighting be?
So much thought
what people
put
need to
into
be
it,
there? How
yeah.
many actors should be there? Okay, now that the lighting's like this, how much time do we have for the sun to be at this
like
position?
What you were doing, so like what you were doing setting up this podcast, but times a million.
Yeah.
Times a million.
Yeah.
Like it's so many people involved, and
Oh yeah, and now all those people efforts are gonna be kind of fruitless because like no one's gonna see their work because the point of art, right? Any kind of art, whether it's bad, whether it's good, whether it's controversial, whatever, is that it needs to be seen, it needs to be perceived.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's where its value lies in.
because the creators want to share it. Like they have the
Yeah.
idea to share it. They have this vision.
Oh,
and
shit.
When you
The
see
director, I forgot to mention, the director found out on his wedding.
Yeah, you said that already.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that it was on his wedding.
it was
I
like
said
he
it
found out on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
But he
no.
was
he
in a
was,
wedding
he was getting married when
in
he found
Morocco,
out.
and he found out.
Fuck.
Oh my god! But yeah, continue what you were saying.
Oh, man.
When creatives have a vision, a creative vision that they want to share, when you cancel it or when other people like executives get involved and they say, oh well, it can't be like this. That's not going to be good for advertisements, and that's not going to be good for sponsors
Dude,
and whatnot.
yeah. The
like
thing
that
is-
ruins the creativity.
The thing is, this is way worse than it sounds actually, because it's not just a normal cancellation of a project that was
Yeah.
like maybe halfway done or before it even started. Was
They spent
finished.
money on this
They
thing.
spent money, and the people already acted out the lines. They already filmed it. It was in the final stages of editing too.
Damn.
And what happened was that one of the directors was going to like the studio where the editing was happening, and he was going to see if he could recover as much footage as possible. But they deleted everything.
Shit.
They deleted it. The movie's
I'm
not
sure
going to
the
be
movie's
seen.
on a backup drive
It's
somewhere.
But dude,
Yeah,
it's,
the person that was asked to delete it probably never deleted it. Like they're like, you know what?
because
it's not gonna.
David Zaslav is his name, the executive who made this decision. He is an actual piece of shit human being because he
Yeah.
did something so petty and evil. Like to sweep this under the rug. You know, to cancel it is one thing, but to just completely destroy someone's hard work. Imagine before you worked on like a project for school and you actually were proud of the project, but before you got to turn it in, I came in and I smashed the project, then I took the remains and I hid them somewhere where you would never find them.
Yeah,
You'd
that's
be
a
pissed
pretty
off.
good comparison.
It was fucked. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Zaslav sucks.
I think the worst part about it too is they're still gonna release that Flash movie,
Oh shit.
despite all the controversy with
that,
Ezra Miller.
that Ezra Miller guy, he's like been doing a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah,
I don't,
like
have you
starting
heard?
a cult,
No, I haven't heard of
beating,
it.
trying to kill every Hawaiian.
He's an actor. He was playing Flash, and there's a Flash movie coming out next
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And the actor's been getting into a lot of controversy. So basically,
Accused
he
of
went to
grooming,
Hawaii
sorts
and
of stuff.
he went to Hawaii, and then like at karaoke bars, he just kept assaulting people, like punching them and getting into fights.
There was
no
literally,
one knows why.
There was literally a meme saying the whole population of Hawaii is
like
going to bow
under
down.
I like Ezra
It's
Miller.
under threat from Ezra Miller.
And then like he was just attacking people everywhere in Hawaii. He was
He's
in
still
Germany.
in character. Trying
He's
to
still in character.
People were joking of like, he turned into A-Train from, I don't know if you've seen have you seen
People
The
were saying
Boys?
that he was reverse
yeah,
Flash.
yeah.
Yeah, he was reverse Flash.
He went to Germany and Sweden, and then he was attacking people there. He was like, no, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. He
that's
went
the best
all
part.
over the world, just causing
Ezra.
havoc. And then the worst thing happened was that he got accused of grooming, basically. This little indigenous girl. Basically, that he was meeting up with her since she was 14, and then he was
didn't-
giving her
Fuck.
cigarettes and buying her alcohol and
Didn't
stuff like
somebody
that.
tell him though?
How did
like
he meet this indigenous person?
Okay,
though?
basically he met he
met
meets
the
kids a
spiritual
lot.
guy or something.
I don't know
He's
how.
like a Michael Jackson
I
type
can't
of
remember. I
character.
can't remember who said
Sometimes
this, but
parents introduce their kids to celebrities. Like so this happens sometimes. Celebrities meet like parents' children, and the parents are like fine with it. Like Michael Jackson, it's just like maybe the parents didn't know that Michael Jackson was doing that horrible stuff. They just thought, our kid likes this celebrity.
Yeah.
They want to hang out with them, whatever. It was it was the same kind of scenario. But he kidnapped her when she turned 18 very recently.
although he hypnotized
my
her
bad.
really good.
And then
Really?
and then after he kidnapped them, he just what's the word? He went on a road trip with them, in the back of their car, and the police, there was a warrant out for their arrest. And then he just posted on Instagram, or they just posted on Instagram saying, "Oh, you'll never be able to find me. I'm in a different dimension." No one knows what the hell he was talking about. But they did all of that, and they didn't cancel the movie. They're the star of the movie. You can't.
This guy is
how
so
do you
crazy.
promote the film?
He said he's Jesus. He said he was called a Jesus by an indigenous person. It's like, you have characteristics of Jesus. And it's like, what is that?
Someone needs to beat up Ezra Miller. Like,
Bro,
Jesus.
I mean, there's just weird people out there, man. Like something. I don't know what it is, but there's always going to be those outliers that just
maybe Alex Jones was right. There's something in the
don't
water.
want to conform.
It's like there's
something.
I mean,
you know,
or maybe it's the fame, and maybe it's
the fame goes to the head.
money.
It's like 1 minute you're living your life, and the next day you're in the Ant Farm Kids, the Doomsday Cult.
Maybe is that like that's like the price of fame? You become a different person.
I mean, it depends, right? Like I think fame. I think Chris Pratt said. Or maybe Chris Pratt said this. He
One
said,
of the Chris's.
He said, "Fame just magnifies who you really are.
It just amplifies who you already are."
So if you are like a fucking crazy ass person,
but like you didn't have like the opportunities to express it as much, or like enact it,
or people aren't just looking as much, like if there's always cameras on you and you're always being interviewed and stuff like that, then
probably has
it
an
might
effect
come out.
on you.
A psychological effect.
Or at the very
already,
least, it's like easier to get caught.
Yeah, if you're already a kind person, you're good-hearted, you're kind to people, then that's what people are going to see.
Jeez, I hope I never become famous then, because I'm super indecisive. I'm always unsure of myself.
Man, dude,
I can't imagine how much you could possibly amplify
imagine
that.
you having a meltdown.
I'm just going to have a fucking wreck, you know? Because, like, I don't know what's going on.
But you can work on that, right?
Anthony's really talkative, so if he became, like, famous, he would never shut up.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be like, as president, I want to talk about my best friend. Hassan.
Dude, you would actually be a great president, though. Dude, you like love history, and the amount of historical knowledge this guy knows is amazing.
Like, we can never repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah, like he would know every fucking thing.
One funny thing about Anthony is that, like, if he was doing like a press conference, he was like the press secretary. He would not let the reporters have a chance to ask questions. They would ask him one question, and then he'd talk over hell of them. And then before they finished asking the question, he's like, "Oh, that reminds me," you know. It's like you would do that, and then you drive them all away. They never come to and that would be how we get rid of those annoying reporters.
Yeah, they'd be like, "What are you gonna do about poverty?" Well, you see, poverty started when the settlers came here without a plan, and then the housing crisis went up, and unfortunately, after that, like you know,
talk about palm trees.
I like trees.
Me too.
Trees.
Palm trees. There's a palm tree outside.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I was admiring it. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could just sit in nature and just be mesmerized by it.
If I ever become president, though, I want to do this. I'm going to be like, bonsai. Remember those old World War II movies? Bonsai!
What does that mean, bonsai?
It's a little plant.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a bonsai tree?
I thought you meant like that's what like Japanese people used to say.
When they would attack, they say, bonsai!
Did they? I don't think they said that.
Well, I played World at War, so it's historically...
That's what they said there?
It's historically accurate, I guess.
Don't question.
Don't question. I mean, it's probably not true, but you know, I like to think of it as that. But yeah, I want to mention something. We were talking about like all those projects that got canceled. I think the most tragic one for me that I heard about was Kingdom of the Sun.
I've never heard of
it
that.
eventually turned into Emperor's New Groove, but I hear the story and the background of how it came to be what it was. It's so tragic.
It was supposed to be about like an Aztec.
No, it was Inca. They wanted to make a story about an Inca prince who like basically he's like, you know, arrogant and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he meets a lookalike who looks like him. And then basically they reverse lives. And so the imposter is basically the prince. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because he falls in love with the princess because at first the prince is arrogant, but then the imposter, he starts like, the girl thinks he's changed. Yeah. But yeah. Basically what was going to happen was they were going to have Yzma in the movie too, but she was going to be a goddess basically who covers the sun to prevent her from aging because she thinks that's the reason of her youth gone.
Yeah.
And then the whole donkey, or no. They were going to turn him into a camel too in that one. Or what was it? A llama, right?
A llama.
They were going to turn the prince into a llama. It just sounded like a really interesting movie, and they were going to incorporate Inca, you know, ceremonial dress and culture. Yeah. Unfortunately, the script kept getting rewritten, and they even had Sting do the soundtrack, and he did songs based on the character. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they eventually removed the creative consultant. He was the guy who created Lilo and Stitch. They removed him, and then they're like, let's make it a goofy comedy. And Sting was actually so pissed. There's a documentary where you see him, and he's like, I actually liked the original movie better. And yeah, they ended up getting Elton John instead to do the music.
Oh shit!
But honestly,
who is it? David Spade.
yeah, David
Spade
Owen
played
Wilson was in the original cut.
Oh wait, was he gonna play Cusco originally?
He was gonna play the imposter of the prince. The prince's original name was Maku, I think it was. And then the other one was called the guy who played Owen Wilson, or the character Owen Wilson was playing, was something else. But it was so tragic because the movie honestly sounded really good, but it got too complicated. They weren't sure how to end it. They ended up keeping some assets like, David Spade and Etha Keart. They kept her, but she actually has a wonderful score.
I thought her name was Eartha Kittman.
Eartha Kittman, yeah. Whatever. They had her sing, and there's this beautiful song she did, basically talking about the sun. And it sucks they cut that. You can find it online, but it really sucks. She put in all that work. She was a talented woman.
Yeah.
But it ended up becoming The Emperor's New Groove, and unfortunately, that movie bombed. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
But
I didn't know it bombed that bad.
It made no money, basically.
Oh,
but
do you know any projects that you wish got completed but didn't? Not necessarily movies, but maybe
honestly,
a finance project or a company or startup, something like that.
Not really. The ones you guys mentioned, I wasn't even aware of that. It was that. It was.
That's the thing about canceled movies. They're only known by a certain amount of people. There's this infamous movie in the lost media community called Bugman. I think it was Bugman.
I don't remember.
It was Brendan Fraser. It was with Brendan Fraser and Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando's last movie.
Yeah.
It was supposed to come out in 2005.
It's an animated movie,
Yeah, it was an animated movie. It has yet to see the light of day.
But there's still audio existing of Marlon Brando.
I think there's only one video of him doing audio.
And apparently,
dude, Marlon Brando was crazy though.
He was ahead of his time, honestly.
And when he was doing his lines, apparently, according to other people, since he was playing a grandma character, right?
Yeah.
He would dress up as an old lady while doing the lines. He was really into character.
They actually originally asked him if he wanted to play the overweight businessman, but he said no. I'd rather do the woman and the older woman because I've never done a character like that. Yeah, it was his last role, and ironically, the guy was weird. He said it was his favorite role he ever did.
That's so cool.
That's coming from Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando's a really cool guy.
I watched a few of his movies. Yeah, Godfather and a few others that he was a tremendous actor. On screen, there was something about him.
It was amazing.
Actually,
he would never memorize his lines.
I was gonna tell you this. Marlon Brando actually played Emmanuel Zapata.
Oh yeah.
Emiliano Zapata.
That's how he met one of his wives, I think, because he married a Mexican actress at one point.
Because he was actually playing it. I think later he apologized because he said that he shouldn't have played a Mexican. But
okay, I'm not going to get into that. But
okay, all right.
Okay, fine. Okay. So I think the definition of being Hispanic is a very broad definition. For example, me, I'm I've got a bunch of junk. I'm not junk, but I'm Native American, European, African, a bunch of different stuff.
All around
I
the world,
consider myself Hispanic, but it's I have friends that are really white and they're technically Hispanic. So I'm I'm always conflicted. I'm should you be a Hispanic person to play a Hispanic character? If I was to play Zapata, would it be offensive because I'm not Mexican?
I don't think so.
I mean,
I don't know.
You're you do have the,
I don't know.
I mean, you're indigenous portion, and then you're mestizo a little bit. So,
but it's I thought the whole point of acting was you're supposed to play a character.
Yeah, play a character.
But it's at some point it's it'd be weird if a white man played Martin Luther King in a movie.
Okay.
Exactly.
No, I get that.
Where do we draw the line?
No, I know. Well, I mean, not I know, but this is my opinion. Context matters. So obviously, if a white person played Martin Luther King, that'd be kind of weird. It would kind of be a little disrespectful to the context.
I mean, it's a little weird having Genghis Khan played by John Wayne, but
it doesn't make a lot lot of sense. Is the thing, you know?
Yeah.
So here's what it could be, right? Is that I guess it matters contextually speaking. If the character's race is important to the character, then it should be played by that character.
Yeah.
If it's not, then it doesn't necessarily have to be. A lot of people were pissed that Johnny Storm, a comic book character, was being played by Michael B. Jordan, a black man, right? And a lot of people were pissed about that. But truth be told, I read comics all the time. Johnny Storm's race is not important to his character at all.
It really isn't.
However,
really
a
isn't.
character like, say, Doctor Doom has a Roma background. like as in he's Romani, like the character. He was like persecuted.
Never incorporated.
Yeah. No, so far not incorporated. But it would be cool if they actually did cast a Romani person because
Wait,
that
wasn't
aspect of his
Scarlet
character is
Witch
incorporated.
Romani too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That like Elizabeth Olsen is just white.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, some Romani are white, but
Yeah, but no, she's not Romani at all.
I know. Obviously, yeah, it can be tricky. You know, obviously, with a comic book character, I think you get a little more leeway. But with a real life person, I think there's like you have a liability and you have an obligation to have them played by
So
native
have you ever
actors
seen
almost.
Tropic Thunder?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So you know that Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plays
So
the
here's
Mexican,
the thing.
yeah.
He doesn't actually play a black man. Is the thing. This is the argument some people make. I'm not saying I agree with this argument, but some people say that he's not playing a black man. He's playing a white man who is playing a black man. And in the movie, in the universe of the movie, all the characters are telling him, like, this is bad. You shouldn't be doing this. So the movie isn't saying that it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's literally just using it to showcase like how in too deep some people get with the roles they portray.
It's kind of like Quentin
that,
Tarantino
you
and
know?
the N-word. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They wouldn't make that movie.
They
now.
wouldn't make that movie
Yeah.
today, all right? And honestly, I'm pretty sure I've heard Robert Downey Jr. say that he would never do that again. You know?
He tried playing a Mexican recently.
No, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
But the thing is, that movie's not going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Because so Jamie Foxx said that, oh, you played a black man once, you should play a Mexican.
Yeah,
And then
that's
like
what
he's
I
gonna
was-
play,
that's what
and
I
then they did that. They filmed the movie. The thing is that Jamie Foxx is too afraid to release it. He's worried about the backlash, so he's trying to ease people into it. He's trying to say, like, oh, no, but like this is just like a joke or whatever, right?
I mean, going back to what I said
it
earlier.
depends, but it's
Jamie
like
Foxx is one of the most talented people.
he's funny
in the
as hell.
Fucking world,
He's
bro.
funny as hell. He's funny as hell.
I mean,
His
going
Donald
back-
Trump impression is.
I never
like,
seen him do a
world
Donald
class.
Trump impression.
I gotta look that up. I've never seen that either. Yeah, but quickly going back to what I said, like the definition of Hispanic is like very hard to classify because you have people who were born in Canada, then their parents moved there, and it's like, are they Hispanic now? You know, it's a very broad definition, and I don't think Robert Downey Jr. playing a Mexican is going to be too offensive unless we see him with the maracas and the hat. Then I'll be
No,
pissed.
it is.
Yeah.
He does do that.
Oh, okay. Never
'cause
mind.
that-
Never mind.
wanna play
Yeah,
all
he was
the
gonna say.
stereotypes.
Jamie Foxx said that he said like he wanted him to do like that type of role, and there's footage of him doing that with the maracas and everything. It's like a cartoonish
Okay, then.
thing.
You know what? Let's move on. Let's move on.
I will
Anyway.
say though is that that movie like that probably wouldn't get. Well, actually, here's the thing: a lot of people say, "Oh, you couldn't do this today or that today." You totally could. It's just that
could.
there'd be different
You'll just get a bunch of
consequences.
backlash.
Yeah.
But that's just the thing about life is that you can't do anything without some consequences. You might as
Exactly.
well just do it and then just accept the consequences. If you think that the consequences aren't worth it, then don't do it. You know what I mean? If you can't personally accept the consequences, don't do it.
Yep.
Like you see, if I wanted to like drink and drive, for example, I'm not saying I want to do that. I'm just saying like if I drank and then I got into a car and I started driving, right, and I got into an accident and I got arrested, it's no one's fault but mine. Really, objectively, I made that final choice, so I should accept the consequences. If I complained or whined about that later, that just says I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not willing to face the fullest extent of my of the consequences of my actions. So like that's the thing with like situations like that. Personally, I don't think he should do that again. The thing is just it's way too risky, and honestly, it is.
It goes back to what I said that like change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, the humor from the 2000s isn't gonna work in the 2020s.
2020s, yeah.
I was born in the 2000s, like born and raised in the 2000s.
Yeah, you were literally
like I was
2000.
2000. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I saw stuff like that growing up. But like obviously times change.
yeah.
But like
I mean, times have always changed. Like it's
But, like,
1920s are different
Well, like
than
in
2020s.
cases like that, like people that were directly affected by that said that it was always wrong, and it's best like to listen to them because if they're the most affected by it, they
Yeah.
know best. So
like-
something like that, I would probably suggest whatever my fucking advice is worth, which is not much, to not do that again.
I love like looking
back at things to see like the level
far
of
we've
change.
come.
Yeah, how
It's
far
like,
we've come.
you know,
Like I've watched movies.
we've changed.
1950s John Wayne and like people. There were
It's
racial
so
slurs.
crazy
and,
how many white people played Native Americans.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, it's like you watch a movie like a John Wayne movie, then you watch like
It kinda
Dances with Wolves, and it's like
no,
damn,
it kind of sucks
we've
because
come
if
a
you were
long
like
way.
an indigenous actor, if you were an indigenous actor and you wanted to audition for an indigenous role, you might not get it, and some white guy will get
I
it.
know, it's
That's
fucking
the
crazy.
that's like the like it's funny, but it's sad. It's
mean,
like tragic, but like
I do think we have declined a little bit when like with the progress, because in the 70s, I think there were more Native American actors working in the industry, whereas now there's a lot more like, you know, like different people like playing Native American roles. Like the most recent one I can think of is Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp, where he played a Native American man. I could think of plenty of other actors who could have played him, but you know, obviously they wanted the star
big
power.
name,
But I definitely think we have taken a little back with Native American actors. Also, I've noticed there's like a disturbing decline too, where like this isn't a bad thing, but a lot of the actors are now coming from Canada.
Oh, yeah,
and like it's because the population in the U.S. has like they've intermixed so much they don't even look Native American anymore.
There's just more. There's like I think a larger indigenous population there.
Also,
right?
The birth rate is up in Canada compared to here with Native Americans.
Now that they stopped the
That's why
sterilization
with the new
thing,
Predator
right?
movie, a lot of the Native Americans, they're supposed to be the Comanche, which are from here, but they're played by mostly tribes in Canada.
Yeah.
And they filmed over there too.
Speaking of population and stuff, did you hear what Elon Musk has been saying like about
population
cr-
like is
that-
there too
it's
much?
not-
Is he saying
not-
it's too little or too much?
It's not overpopulation. There's an underpopulation.
Oh, that people aren't having kids enough.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Nah.
feel like the maid
what do you guys
just
think?
cleaned up this mess.
No, here's the thing. lots of people always just say that sort of stuff. I mean, it's mainly propagated for like a narrative to drive a certain narrative that the youth isn't having
God.
enough kids, and that's not we're gonna have a smaller workforce the next generation. And,
That reminds me of
less
idiots
stuff
who
will be
say
made.
genocide is a good idea.
Or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so like I guess the underpopulation argument, if it has a single merit, is better than the overpopulation one, which is complete bullshit, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So like this one's also bullshit. It's like this. It's like what the premise, right, implies that the solution should be finding ways to get people to make more kids, and then what they'll say is that we need to like make abortion harder to access, or like lower the access to contraceptives and like birth control. So like people are already like legislative like branches in like the government are already in talks to try to make condom access illegal. Like just ban condom because they went after abortion.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
serious.
Jesus.
So they went after abortion, right? And it's like very easy to tell why they went after abortion because they want more, kids. But then
more Marines.
Yeah, more soldiers for like the U.S.
More
empire.
machines.
But like basically, now they're going after like contraceptives and like morning after pills, and then like of course condoms as well, because they want like and like some people like dead ass. There are some like very crazy super. Right-wing Christians, not like you're a cool left-wing Christian, but like right-wing Christians who are like trying to like make all sex that like doesn't produce children like illegal. So like sodomy.
I don't know how you can make
It's
that
fucking
illegal, but-
crazy.
So a miscarriage is considered a law illegal.
No, in some countries in Latin America, like for a long time, like freaking miscarriage was illegal, and like if you were a woman who had a miscarriage, it would be deemed like, you killed the baby and you're going to jail. It's crazy shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
not necessarily, because my great grandmother had like 2 stillbirths, and she managed to have like 6 kids in the end.
But it wasn't. It was like in some Latin American dictatorships.
Some Latin American.
You had to make up for it. You had to make up.
I was joking with my mom. It's funny how like having so many kids was more acceptable, and it's like now the minimum is like 3 at best.
Yeah, so I think the underpopulation thing is bullshit, and it's meant to drive narratives like that because they're trying to make like recreational sex, right, like completely illegal, and they're trying to make it so that you only have sex that is
babies,
productive for kids. And which, okay, think of it this way: even if you were to agree with like, sex should only be for kids, what about people who physically can't have kids? What about people who are sterile? What about women who are barren? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, is it their fault? Like you punish them? Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like it's just odd. Like I don't like that. Like most people who
I don't agree with that.
I don't
either.
know about everybody, but most people who believe like underpopulation is a problem, they'll make propositions like that. They will. You just ask them more questions.
These
will
are the
say
same
that.
senators who want the guillotine to come back. It's like
Actually, I don't know why, because the guillotine would be turned on them.
Yeah. No, I'm not even kidding. There was a lawmaker in South Carolina who advocated implementing that
guillotine, what,
in
for,
the
like, the
U.S. It
death
was in the
penalty?
90s, yeah.
Oh fuck.
The 90s wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
it was only
10
10 years
years.
before I was born.
Damn, a crazy time. Yeah, I think taking away human liberties like that is just like wrong. And it defeats the purpose of, the freedom of man and women and, all that. And it's like, it would be like,
Also, man, everyone who proposes that is like, thus far I've not met someone who believes that like, like stuff like that, like who isn't a hypocrite. Like every single, there's like footage of this one Republican lawmaker who was like anti-abortion, right? And like he like wanted to make it illegal to have an abortion to the point where the woman goes to jail if she has an abortion, right? And
I can see
he
where
was
this is
caught
going.
on tape. He accidentally recorded himself fucking or unless this was actually, you can verify this later if you don't believe me, but like there's apparently audio of him, right? Alleged audio of him like actually having a conversation with his mistress trying to convince her to get an abortion. And this is actually a pretty common thing. A lot of pro-abortion lawmakers like always had like mistresses that were pregnant and they didn't want, you know, to deal with that, so they would pay them to get abortions. It's freaking hilarious.
That reminded me of this senator who was like, he was very homophobic. He like banned gay marriage and stuff.
Oh, he voted. Yeah, I know. He voted against gay marriage, right, to make it legal. Yeah.
He called someone in Congress a communist at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he went to his gay son's wedding.
Yeah, and not only that, he was caught with a prostitute in a hotel who was a man.
A male prostitute?
Yeah, and people were like, just confess that you're gay. And he said it in front of his wife, I am not gay. And it's like his wife was rolling her eyes. She knew. She knew.
Oh my God. No, bro, it's like projection, you know? There was this one like really right-wing European guy who was also super homophobic. And guess where he was caught? He was caught in an all-male orgy. Like, he was insane, and he wanted to put gay people in concentration camps. That was like his thing. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like they have.
Damn.
I don't know. Okay, because the thing is that like, if you are like that, I don't know why you want to punish it so severely. But I guess it goes back to the motto: "Rules for thee, but not for me."
And I think it's tradition. Like I think for so long, society has deemed it, you know, whatever, not as acceptable.
Yeah.
And so
But then why do you think people who were like, then why do you think people like who reject it like also participate in it?
Although with the Republican guy I was talking about, he did it because he didn't want to lose his voters, because his voters are the Christian, you know, Southern Belt, and it's like if he loses those people, he loses his seat in Congress.
Exactly.
So I think it might be a strategic thing.
No, you know what's sad? I feel sorry for the spouses a little bit. Because they're clearly not in a loving marriage if their husband's cheating on them. But then at the same time, they're kind of trapped because like divorce is also a stigma. You know what I mean? Divorce is really hard to like do within like the culture of like,
and
you know,
for politics in general, like you want the president to be married, right? Like there's no like
usually
president or like
there hasn't
people
been
in
a single
politics
president.
in general.
Well,
I mean, there have been presidents who were like married before they got into office and then
I think Reagan was the first who was
ironically,
a
Reagan is like the big conservative Christian president. He was the biggest pro-marriage, anti-abortion sort of. Well, actually, I don't know if he was anti-abortion.
I don't know.
I think he was pro-abortion actually. But anyway, he was big on marriage, right, and marital values. He believed in the family. He was like, "Oh, we're different than the communists."
If it wasn't for him, my mom wouldn't be here.
Yeah, so he was like, he was different than the communist. He said like, "Oh, we're against the communists because the communists are godless and they don't believe in the Christian family." So he had believed in the Christian family, but ironically, he's the only president before Trump who was divorced.
Yeah.
Before then, no president was divorced. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And then also, he was like a big union buster. Like he fired the whole airline traffic workers who went on strike, like over 1,000 of them.
He blacklisted a ton of actors too.
And then but he's our only president, one of our only presidents who was in a union.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, he was in the Actors Guild.
Actors Guild. Yeah. He was an actor before, right? And then was he a governor first?
Yeah, he was governor of California.
Governor of California and then president.
Yeah.
I saw him
we talked about
Johnny
it.
Carson.
Actually, last time I was on here, I talked about it with you a little bit. We were talking about communism and why communists are pro-guns, not anti-guns. It's a misconception.
Yep.
Okay.
And he was the governor of California.
Took the guns. No, took the guns.
They actually gave guns to people.
I know, that's the ironic part.
But like, Reagan was the governor of California at the time that I was talking about, where him and like the right wingers, the KKK and the NRA, the National Rifle Association, all of them worked together to make gun ownership in California extremely difficult, and they banned open carry laws because they were doing it in response to black and working class people arming themselves. So like that's why. So like Reagan was anti-gun too.
I heard
so many stories like this that aren't told in
not
history.
told
Like,
enough.
fuck, bro.
I think I heard it from you that
The Mulford Act, I believe.
The reason they banned some firearms in Canada was because they didn't want Indigenous people rising up and being able to defend their land. Because, with the guns, obviously, they're a little more hassle. And it's crazy how far some groups will go to like make something illegal so they can easily, get rid of
them,
certain people and all that.
Yeah, so like the history of gun control usually has been a history of racism. That's why I'm not that's one of the many reasons I'm not a Democrat. It's because like Democrats are definitely anti-gun.
Just in case anyone's wondering, I'm neutral. I'm like Switzerland.
He's like
always neutral.
I kind of identify as a socialist because I think a socialist government, like having healthcare systems and certain things for people, should be a thing.
I describe Anthony as like a left-wing independent.
Okay, that's
yeah.
Fair
He's like an independent that leads left-wing. But basically, it's like
you're all the way on the opposite side.
Yeah. I'm pretty left-wing.
He's
I'm pretty left-wing.
I'm pretty
left-wing. I'm honest about it, but I also want to like inform
that's
people
what
it actually.
About him. He doesn't give a shit. If anyone thinks
most people will try to put on the bush, but like I'll say what I am. And
you're the type of person to not just disagree with somebody right away. You're open to other people's opinions.
People to be honest, but also accurate, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean is that like I'm honest about what I am, but I don't want people to have misconceptions.
But where I draw the line is when someone who you try arguing with can't be reasoned.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. If someone just refuses to even have the least bit open-mindedness or the least bit of an open inertia or an open epistemology, right? If they operate from a closed or enclosed epistemology, then they're harder to reason with, obviously, because they refuse to take.
That's one of my problems with modern politics.
There's no room for productivity that way. The point of a debate. I don't know who said this, but this is another good quote from the person I don't know who said it. But you know what?
The person who didn't know.
But it's cool this way because maybe it means that the quotes are more important than the people themselves. It's like this. It's like it goes. The point of a debate shouldn't be victory, like one person winning, but progress. So long as progression and like a direction towards productivity is made, then like it's considered a useful debate. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like if you and I disagreed on something, right? Let's say, and then we argued about it, but at the end you took away some stuff that you didn't know beforehand that you are now incorporating later on in life, and I took away some stuff from you that I'm incorporating later on in life. It's a mutually beneficial exchange.
Agree to disagree.
I was watching a Neil deGrasse Tyson video recently, and he was talking
really
about this history. Like he was doing a seminar about space, and I think somebody asked him about the time where Arabs or Arabic people in general, like they invented or they saw stars and
they were
constellations.
Like
astrologists. They developed mathematics. I think the number 0 derives from them.
Oh yeah,
and so
Arabic numerals.
He was
actually go on.
Okay, he was saying that during this time there was freedom of thought. Like people would come together, and even if they disagreed, they would all talk about their ideas, talk about their philosophies, and that's what caused progress. That's why they developed so much.
Because of open dialogue and discourse.
Because of open dialogue. And if somebody had an idea, they would talk about it and see if it was if it was
part
worthy,
of their philosophy was to nurture and develop more.
And then as time went on, religion kind of like strict religion kind of fucked it up for them because people were
I agree. Okay, so when Islamic empires of old, right? Where you saw progression or enlightenment or what they call the golden age, it was when they operated on an open epistemology or like in more simpler terms, an open way of thinking, right? Yeah. They promoted new thought, right? And they promoted progress through advancement and constant questioning. They were very skeptical. Skeptical.
Yeah.
Skeptical.
It's insane how skeptical they were about everything.
They were taught to question everything. So nothing was above critique. So just because something worked, like what they said in Black Panther. I mean, it's still a good quote. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved,
I want to point something out, something really interesting. They don't mention this. During the European Dark Ages, it was actually the Islamic Empire that preserved a lot of ancient texts. Like the Iliad, Homer's Iliad was completely lost in Europe, but
they preserved it.
They preserved it by writing it down from Greek, Greek people had converted.
Another thing about
they preserved so much ancient text. They preserved a lot of ancient text.
They preserved it. They translated it in Arabic, but they kept it in the original form.
Like we wouldn't know about it.
The thing with old Islamic empires, right? Was that whenever they conquered an area, they would try not to. No, they would make an extensive effort not to burn the libraries. They would preserve the libraries.
Yeah.
It was an often common imperial tactic of empires, like European empires, that whenever they
that's
conquered a thing,
knowledge, you know?
they would burn the libraries of the place they conquered, right? Because they're trying to establish their own rule, their own language, or whatever. But the Islamic empires thought they would be useful to keep that knowledge. But like you were saying, when they tended towards more conservative tendencies, that's when stuff went awry. Like when I say conservative, I don't mean
it just
the
happens.
contemporary definition. We talked about this last time too. So like liberal and conservative in classical or philosophical terms don't mean like political sense, like the Republican or Democratic Party. It means like liberal is like open-minded. So like if you were to give cookies, you would, like in a liberal way, you would like leave it out, and then people would take that liberally at your own leisure. Like you can liberally take it.
Yeah.
And conservative means to conserve or like preserve or whatever. So if you were like
here's a half a cookie.
Yeah. 'Cause you want to conserve as much cookie as possible. Then it would be like that would be the conservative way. So don't be offended. This is literally just like the classical definitions. It's different meaning. So when the Islamic empires tended towards the conservative of preservatory rather than open, that's when they declined. You know what I mean? That's when they started
the Ottoman Empire and all the Persian
I'm not
Empire.
a fan of empires, obviously.
Just kind of all declined.
Like in general, I'm not a fan of empires, but I am a fan of open epistemological thinking.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm a fan of like the growth of it. Like how does an empire start? Like
I mean, it depends on your definition of an empire. I mean, some of them are just like countries that call themselves an empire. Like there was the Holy Roman Empire, but I mean, could you really call it that? It was just Europe with a different name.
I guess an empire would be something that's like more expansively territorial.
Like the Roman Empire, it expanded into Africa and the Middle East. So I guess that could be classified
like
as
something with like a
real
very
empire.
powerful military that's expansive and
and speaking
like
of the library, wasn't it one of the Alexandria library? That's a famous library that burned down. Right, I'm pretty sure. And people were saying like that library
had a lot of knowledge.
And like that set us back.
They've done a lot of studies, and they've determined that more than likely a lot of what was lost was already written in other libraries.
A female scholar.
Like it's hard to say how much we probably lost some obscure texts, but a lot of people say it wouldn't like a lot of the science and stuff probably would have been inaccurate.
Yeah.
So they don't think we really lost that much, but still really tragic.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about that Greek scholar, right? The female one.
The female one.
Where she discovered the constellations or whatever.
She was killed by like Christians.
Yeah.
You know, Christianity was just a new religion, and there was a lot of tension between the Christians and the pagans.
Unfortunately, I think Constantine the Great introduced Christianity too quickly, and as a result, a lot of chaos happened where pagan stuff was destroyed, and
Really?
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. Not the greatest guy. I mean, he murdered his wife and son. During that, I don't know, for plotting against him, I guess.
Well, how old was the son?
The son was like in his 20s or 30s.
Okay, wait. How old was Alexander when he died?
I don't know. I think he died in his like 60s or 50s, something like that. Anyway, he was a really weird guy.
People didn't live that long back then. Usually,
apparently, I've read this about him. He was fighting a battle with the Germanic peoples up north, and he claims he saw the cross in the sky. And he saw this as a sign, so they made their banner the Holy Cross, and then he decided to convert to Christianity. And apparently, it was really weird because they took a lot of pagan rituals and put it there. Like, people don't realize this, but Christianity is like an amalgamation of different things. Like the halos you see on angels, those are based on the old gods. They used to worship like Helios. Helios had the sun crown, and like with Jesus, you see that too.
Yeah.
And then this is really bizarre. They opened some Roman tombs, and these were where Christians were buried. They portrayed Christians with wands because, according to the Romans, hearing stories about God being able to bring someone back from the dead, they thought that was witchcraft. It's kind of ironic how the tables have turned. Christianity thinks anything that's like bizarre is witchcraft, but the Romans thought the exact same thing about Christianity when it was first introduced.
Damn.
So yeah, I mean, going back to Constantine the Great, very interesting guy. Constantinople, he started that because Rome wasn't ready for Christianity just yet. But it's crazy how that one move changed Europe forever.
And that city stood there for, I forget the exact amount of time,
It
but
was there until 1490.
Yeah.
1453.
Kind of sucks.
Was it around 1,000 years? I'm pretty sure.
Almost 1,000 years.
I know. In the beginning, I was talking about how I want things to end eventually, but not like that.
No.
You know?
Yeah. I definitely think that was really it was kind of messed up how Constantinople fell. You know, it was like the last Greek city in Anatolia.
Yeah.
Then the Turks came in and, you know, just completely wrecked it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so much was lost. And, you know, we're still finding artifacts that like was looted from Constantinople.
Really?
Yeah, like
it was found somewhere else, but
oh yeah, no. What happened was there was this incident. I think 200 years before, where this Byzantine king was like, I need help to retake Constantinople from like another family, and they took it, and then the king died, and then his brother took over, and he's like, I'm paying you guys for shit. I didn't ask for you. So the Venetians who came from Venice looted the whole city, and the Ottomans saw how weak the city was, so they were slowly getting closer to it. Anyway, they found artifacts from the Byzantine Empire in like the papal like the Vatican City like archives, and then like they sold a bunch of stuff to Indian princes, and they found stuff as far as there. Like they know it's from Constantinople because they recorded it, what they looted.
yeah.
And like the coolest thing was we have the only surviving Roman crowns in Hungary. Those were also taken from Constantinople.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy how much an item can go. Like a human can only travel so far, but the items they can go everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we found Buddhist statues in Pompeii. Like those came all the way from China, and it's like insane. Like I'm sure shipping times were a pain in the ass. Like like 2,000 days till your Buddhist statue gets here.
Literally walk, or have like the horses or camel and whatever, and walk all the way.
That's
to...
one common thing forgotten about the Silk Road. There were actually boats coming from the Indian coast all the way to like modern day Egypt.
Okay.
So there were some faster ways, but definitely a pain in the ass.
Speaking of, actually, there's no segue. I just needed to talk about this. I just wanted to talk about this before we run out of time.
No, we have time.
No, I know, but just in case, you know, because if this guy, you know, that will never end. But
Same with you.
But basically, it was like, it was. Do you remember that time you and me, your family, my family, were hanging out by that movie theater place, the Movie Plaza at AMC?
Oh yeah,
and then like your niece was just walking around the area, and it was just me and him. We were just talking to each other. We were just chaperoning her because you know, she's a kid. But it was like the worst timing though, because it was at night.
It was awful.
And apparently the police in the area, the security, they got reports of like a missing girl. So we got approached by like 18 different security guards at different times, going like asking his niece. Excuse me, are these your brothers, your parents? Who are they? You know, like like they were trying to. And
I would answer for her, and I guess they got suspicious.
Yeah, she would he would answer for her, but like he was like, oh, that's my niece. But then like they would ask her directly. She's like, yeah, that's my uncle.
Dude, I swear to God, we were walking to what was that store?
We were walking. Well, I don't know what.
I forget what store we were walking to. Anyway, we were walking, and I see these. And he tells me the security guards are following us, and I'm like, no way.
Paranoid.
And I see them cornering us like this, and then they block us, and they're like, okay, we need to know who's the child belong to. And finally, my niece is like, this is my uncle, and this is his friend, and they finally walk away. It was so bad. I've never been like
harassed like that.
I've never been harassed like this. I mean, I have been. There was one time where I was called illegal, and I'm like, ma'am, I'm more native than you'll ever be in your lifetime. I'm like, you don't have the right to even call me like an illegal.
But that was like crazy because I mean, in hindsight, you know, his niece is half white from her dad's side.
Yeah.
And she looks a lot whiter than us.
Yeah. She looks very Mediterranean.
So it was very visibly, there was like a contrast of like, there was no way that like a security guard would think that we were related.
It's one of the few times I've ever been racially profiled, you know?
Like, yeah, they just assume that.
Yeah. I mean, I always hear stories of people going to, like, Israel, and then they're like, all right, we need you to go in that room. And it's like, because, you know, the color of their skin.
Imagine being accused of kidnapping your own niece when your when her mom's also there in the area as well.
Yeah. Honestly made you appreciate, you know, that, like... I don't know how to describe this, but you know, there was.
And then my brother came, and then another cop came, and then they were like, "Excuse me, is this little girl?" With like, dude, no.
Oh, God.
They came at different times because I guess they had multiple people looking for her, and they weren't coordinating with each other.
They didn't age description or like
no,
anything.
I think they just told her
a little white girl is missing, and her family's looking for her.
Specific enough.
I don't know if they ever found her. Who knows?
Honestly, here's the thing though: is that if they coordinated with each other, they could have just said, "Oh yeah, these two guys are not the kidnappers to the other," but no one said that clearly because they kept coming.
There's always those videos of like I think RDC Supreme Dreams. Like, I don't know if you know those guys, but like they make skits and stuff. And they had a skit of where when people get the notification for like an Amber Alert,
yeah, they
and
just
then like what they
expect.
They expect people to like run out of their house, start like fucking searching
Look for
people.
the girl. Yeah. But before I forget,
I saw one where they reacted to Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. They did one of that. That was really funny.
Yeah. But before I quickly forget, I just wanted to say it really makes me kind of appreciate that I don't have to live in a society where I'm segregated.
We live in a
but
society.
at the same time, there's still some underlying tones of that left over. Like my parents didn't have to deal with it, but you know, my grandmother, she came here in the 60s and there was still some segregation. And I'm kind of grateful that I don't have to put up with that shit because, you know, heads would be rolling if that was the case.
I know.
Anyway.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, he said that.
Nobody
he said
got
that
that for
after
a
that.
second.
No, I did. I got that. I was just waiting for him to laugh.
You know, I actually had to look up the G.I.
that's what Chris
Jane.
Rock said after
Yeah,
Will
I
Smith
had to
slapped
look
him.
up the G.I. Jane joke because I didn't get it, and I'm like, that's a fucking genius joke.
G.I. Jane,
Like that was actually brilliant.
I honestly don't even think like he meant it like that. I just thought like he was just, but whatever. I don't know. Who do I know? But
yeah, there's some people who still think that whole thing was staged. I don't
actually,
know.
you know what? No. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Like if you like criticize Will Smith for that moment, there's like a whole group of people on Twitter that will like attack you. Like they'll literally try to dig
They'll
up something
smack-
from your
they'll smack
past.
you in the
no,
face.
no. They'll dig up something from your past. And just like, cause like, what was their name? What's the name of the person who played Catwoman in the latest Batman movie? Not Halle Berry.
Chloe something or no?
Zoe
Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz.
So Zoe Kravitz basically like was like
Oh,
just
yeah.
like criticizing Will Smith like on Instagram, and then like someone on Twitter was like, Zoe Kravitz flirted with Jaden Smith when he was like 15 and she was 20, right? And then they pulled up the interview
picture,
transcripts,
and
and I was like, holy shit, you had this information for years, but you just waited till she said something you disagreed with
know.
to pull it up.
The cancel culture is fucking insane.
That's
But like, it was just weird to me because, like, I mean, if you thought if you always thought that was wrong, then why didn't you say it earlier?
That's the
You
one
just
thing
waited
that
until they
always-
said
like,
something
it's
you
better
That's
disagreed
the
with.
one thing I
Blackmail,
always
bro.
joke about with politics. It's like if I'm hanging out with this girl, is she gonna be like when I try and become president, she's gonna be like, yeah, this guy was a creep, you know. He hugged me when we would leave and say goodbye.
No, I've seen stories like that when like they're trying to like depict someone as like a bad person. A lot of times it's completely true, but sometimes you can tell that they're just like being like racist
Oh,
dipshits.
yeah, dude.
No, there was this one candidate who was like South Asian. He was running in San Francisco trying to dethrone Nancy Pelosi. So then Nancy Pelosi, a Nancy Pelosi supporter was like, oh, he was really creepy to me when I was in his workspace. And then here's what she said. She said he would like go like this to me when I was leaving.
What?
Yeah, it was just like,
Yeah,
just like
how
stare until
offensive.
she left.
He literally,
But, like-
for those listening, he literally stared and
They just
got
stared
there.
at nothing. But
Yeah,
like,
it's always funny when, like,
it was
they try
pretty
and paint it
clear
that
that
way.
it was just like because he was Pakistani, I believe. No, actually, yeah, I don't know. He's South Asian, right?
Yeah.
So it was something like it was just like a narrative of like just South Asians are like creepy. So like this white woman
Yeah, there's
was
always
like
that infamous stereotype.
honestly, yeah, okay. Well, you know the thing is. And this is just true historically speaking, is that a lot of times throughout history, like white women would be like the biggest tools used to like. Sorry if this is this is a pretty dark topic, but like
It really
white
is.
women tears would be used to like kill people of color a lot.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's like
dude.
a lot of times after slavery was abolished, black people were still like heavily discriminated and targeted in the South, like in all of America, but in the South a lot
Especially,
more.
yeah.
Especially,
There
so
were
like
some holdouts,
So it's
but
like
definitely
like if a black person owned like a small business and he was doing well, like white people would claim that he was cheating or using voodoo or some other racist thing, and then they would burn down the shop and kill the guy. And then like a lot of times white women would engage in consensual relationships with like black men after slavery was like abolished. And then like white men were saying that like depicting them like racist, and they were saying that like they're rapists, right? So they were raping the women and then they'd kill them. Sometimes because white women didn't want to get in trouble and they knew the risks of entering a relationship with a black man,
interracial.
a white woman would get into a relationship with a black man in secret, and then they'd claim afterwards so they could avoid punishment that the black man raped them, and then the black man would be lynched, and then they would get off like scot-free. It was pretty awful.
Damn.
And like we know this because a lot of them admitted to lying about it later on. And then one famous example was they're making a movie about this. They really shouldn't make a movie about it, honestly. Is Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy.
Oh, man, that's so messed up.
It was a 15-year-old boy.
15.
15-year-old boy who was visiting family in a different town and working on like cotton fields. Because even after slavery, that was like the job that was most available to black people. It was like the job they would want him to do. And he was at a store that a white woman was working at. And then, like, he wasn't flirting with her. He was just being nice to her. He was a 15-year-old kid. He just said that she was pretty and stuff. And then she took great offense to that and then claimed that he raped her, right? Mm-hmm. And then her brother and brother-in-law, no, her husband and brother, they found the 15-year-old kid. They took him to the house and they beat him and killed him. And, like, very brutally, too. And they dumped his body.
Like there's footage. There's footage because I think the story was his mom told the where the funeral was being held that it's gonna be an open casket because I want people to see that
what they did to my baby. Yeah, it's super fucked.
yeah.
But like that woman, she lied, and then like honestly,
and she told the truth afterwards.
It was really disgusting though.
She's
what
still
the media
alive,
did.
by the way.
She's still
alive.
Yeah, she
she's
had a
still
warrant out for
alive.
her arrest, but they're like,
just,
we're not gonna pursue it.
No, they said the police said, oh, she's old. Which is weird because people get arrested for crimes they did 50 years ago anyway.
Like you posted that Florida man who was 90 years old and he was arrested for feeding the homeless man.
Yeah.
And it's like the pedophile walks away.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Only in Florida, right? But anyway, no, but it's crazy because that woman is still alive.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I think the most disgusting part of the story. The second most disgusting part of the story was the news media. They were interviewing these guys and they were talking in detail about their crime, and the media was just paying them money after money. And like, it's so insane to think that like they were able to get away with this, and like they were admitting in gruesome detail to these papers, and like they were just eating it up. It was really disgusting.
Let the media.
I'm just happy the offenders lived horrible lives after this. Like, I looked it up. One of them died of cancer.
Good.
And, the only time cancer's been good on someone. No, but the other guy was living on food stamps, and he also died of cancer. Although one of them, I think, went to prison.
For
an unrelated crime.
Crime. That makes sense.
But like once the civil rights movement happened, nobody wanted to work with these people. So their lives became completely miserable, and they were living on food stamps and like poor Southern,
That's what you get for killing a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah,
but
it was kind of ironic that Reagan was actually one of the ones who was giving these guys food stamps, because he introduced that program.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he introduced that program.
but I was gonna say, there's another instance, not to this level of extent, but it's still scary that this happens. Is that you could like type in corner store Carolyn, because they come up with names for it. So her name was Corner Store Carolyn. That was her nickname. Yeah. It was this woman, a white woman, a really old white woman at a corner store who was just like at a counter, and this black woman and her black children were with her. And as the black woman was like, because it was like a narrow space between the counter and like this shelf, as the black woman and her son were like passing by the white woman, right? The black boy's backpack brushed against her backside, her rear, her butt, right? And then she claimed that, that boy sexually assaulted me, and she called the cops on the boy, right? And then everyone outside the store was taking the boy's side, saying, dude, he's like 8 years old. What the fuck are you doing? And then this white woman stood up for the black boy, right? To the white woman, the corner store Carolyn, and the white woman was telling her, go home, woman. And then Carolyn was saying, no, white woman, I will not. I was like, what? Anyway, dude, later on, she came back like the next day, I believe, and the footage, the CCTV footage from the camera of the store, the security camera.
This was recent.
This was like, I think 2018. 2017? 2017, 18. Very recent.
Yeah, very recent.
And Trevor Noah covered it on The Daily Show. You can look this up. Just type in Corner Store Carolyn. Yeah. And like on the footage, it showed...
It should be Cornerstone Karen.
Yeah. And then like on the footage, right? It showed that the boy's backpack just brushed against her, Yeah. So she was confronted with that fact, And I'm thinking, bro... There needs to be repercussions, maybe not jail, but repercussions for making false allegations like that intentionally, Because we know about stories like Emmett Till. We know what the consequences are. We know about like white supremacist vigilante mobs that will go out and kill children if they're wrongfully accused of stuff like that. And like, fuck that bitch. Like she sucks.
It's so crazy to think that was only like
very
that
recent.
200 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that was acceptable.
Well, with Emmett
And-
Till, it was as recent as 70. You know?
yeah, 70. But
crazy.
like that, like imagine being like Abraham Lincoln living in 1860, knowing that slavery is just a terrible thing to do. Like, how is this still happening in this time?
Yeah.
And you want to change, but like most of the population still does it. It's tradition. It's been happening, and you want to change it. Like it's fucking.
It
hard.
sucks. It
Let's
sucks
not talk about Brazil then. 'cause,
No, it sucks.
they were doing slavery until the 1880s.
Oh, and actually, they funny story. Well, not funny story, but like a lot of Confederate supporters, they moved to Brazil after they lost
Because
the
slavery
war.
was still going on
slavery was
there.
still legal there, and now they still even have Confederate flags. And,
Oh yeah, they have a weird Confederate subculture.
Move the mic towards your right there.
Yeah.
They have a Confederate subculture where they're like, this is our heritage, but they're like speaking Portuguese. So it's like, what the fuck is this?
it's all over the place.
Yeah, I did want to mention though that unfortunately the king of Brazil eventually outlawed slavery. He didn't like it, but he couldn't get rid of it because it made so much money. Well, it doesn't justify it. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, he eventually got rid of it, and the Confederate supporters basically told the military, we don't really need the king. The country's been doing well, and they overthrew the king in a coup, and Brazil just completely went to shit. Like the Republic kept having military dictator after military dictator. So you could argue it was a weird cause of effect, because if the Civil War hadn't happened in the US, the Confederates wouldn't have moved to Brazil and then influenced the military. And then Brazil could have been a second world power. Because, they were honestly on the rise. They were even more advanced than the Dominion of Canada at the time. Like Canada was still very behind. But
But yeah, they
obviously
fucked it up.
what happened, they really did. Like, it's really tragic.
Damn.
Brazil could have been a superpower, but they chose this republic. And I don't like monarchies, but the guy who was the king really cared about the country. Like he literally sacrificed his childhood. Like he became the king at 12 years old.
12?
Yeah.
What?
What happened was his dad left. His dad, Pedro the First, basically.
Was
it's a
the
long
king?
story. It's a long story,
Okay.
but he was a Portuguese prince who became the king of Brazil. He freed Brazil from Portuguese tyranny. But then a civil war was happening in Portugal, so he had to leave his 4-year-old son on the throne. Obviously, a regency was set up, but the country was in
And
such.
so, did he have a mother or no?
Yeah, he had a mother, and I think that was the regent.
Yeah, but like it was patrilineal, right?
Yeah.
So like if the king dies, it doesn't pass to the queen; it passes to the son.
Yeah,
the
but
first
I was
male.
just making sure that this 4-year-old
Yeah.
wasn't just fucking just sitting
No,
around.
what happened was he had a regency, but the country was so fucked up, they gave him the throne at 12, and he had been doing it to study, and he actually improved life in Brazil like significantly, although slavery was always at his tail. He'd always try and combat it.
Yeah.
Like at one point the British tried going to war with him, saying you're importing too many slaves, and so what he did was he banned slavery, but then they're like, you're not doing a good enough job, we're going to go to war. And he was getting ready for war, and that actually intimidated the British a little bit.
Oh,
Oh,
Like
damn.
it's pretty impressive that he scared the British of all people.
yeah.
He was a really interesting guy, but unfortunately, after he was kicked out, he had to live in some shitty apartment in France and died poor.
Damn.
But he's one of the few kings in history where he
actually
actually
wanted to do a good job.
sacrificed his
Yeah.
life for Brazil.
I actually wonder, Shyam, what are you going to title this podcast? Because I know you figured that out later. Because like for his, you did the colonialism. For me, you did the communism. But like now I'm
Well,
like
you
wondering
brought up the
'cause
whole race
We're
thing, and
doing
it's like-
all sorts of topics.
Dude,
yeah.
I literally don't care what the title
you're
is.
gonna make it
I
a
just
movie
love,
title. Canceled movies, history, and automobiles.
Dude, that's a good. I watched
Every
that.
podcast is like 100 topics.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
like just
Because that's the
amazingness.
flow of
Like,
natural conversation.
Yeah, it's natural
baby.
conversation.
Oh, I was
And-
gonna say, have you ever worked in retail?
No.
Okay, I have some crazy stories about retail.
boy, can't
all
wait.
right. There
We
was-
just transitioned from
Yeah,
Brazil.
we did.
Retail.
I'm sorry. That's just how
just
conversation
how it is.
goes.
Alright.
That's just you want real conversation. That's why you come here. If you want fake scripted conversation, you go watch that Batman podcast. Anyway, so basically, right? I work in retail, right?
Yeah.
I won't say which store because I don't want to get fired. I don't know what the policy is for talking about that store. There probably was something I had to read about it, but I didn't.
well-
So I'm gonna refrain from mentioning it. You know what it is. Don't tell
we'll call it
anybody, okay?
Fresh and Easy
We'll
because
call
that went out of business.
Oh yeah, it did. Fresh and
it
Easy is
did,
gone.
it did.
All right, so yeah, and they can't sue me, right? if
Yeah,
I
they
do.
can't see because they're defunct now.
Fuck it. I'll just call this store Corner Store. So anyway, I work at Corner Store, and basically, retail. And I I gotta be honest. So like the customers, right? Majority of them are okay, but like some of the customers are absolute asshats. Okay, they're just dicks. And sometimes the worst people, the worst customers aren't even customers. They're just people that come into the store and they make a mess and then leave. So part of my job in retail used to be just, cleaning the bathrooms and pushing carts and also packaging. I'm bagging items. So I was a courtesy clerk. That's what the job entailed. And I got to be honest.
It was shit.
Bathroom, yeah, literally, actually. Not to mention it, but okay. So the bathroom cleaning most of it wasn't that bad because there was 4 bathrooms in the whole store. 1 boys' bathroom and 1 girls' bathroom in the front of the store, and 1 boys' bathroom and 1 girls' bathroom in the break room. So I had to clean all 4, right? Mm-hmm. And honestly, most of the time there wasn't even any mess in either of the girls' bathrooms. But there was just a little bit of mess in the boys' bathroom in the back room, and it just took like 2-3 sweeps. But my God, the boys' bathroom at the front of the store was the worst, most unholy thing anyone has ever seen. It's something straight out of a graphic depiction of the Necronomicon. It was awful, right? Fucking Ash from Ash versus the Evil Dead. He'd quit as soon as he saw this.
Oh, God.
So anyway, no, it was pretty bad. I don't know to what extent I'm allowed to describe what I saw.
You can describe it, bro.
All right, bro. I'll tell you what it was because it was awful. But I just hope you're ready.
Something out of the Twilight Zone or something.
It was
You're
pretty
telling me
bad.
you cleaned this up like that.
Yeah,
You had to go
I had to
and-
clean this up.
Okay.
Sometimes the mess and damage was so bad, I didn't even like. I would do like about half of it, and then I'd be like, "This is way too fucking much for any human being," and I'm not being
human
paid the amount that I should be for handling something of this proportion.
Yeah.
So I'd just like, fuck it, whatever. Next person's problem, because we do it in chefs, so other people take turns cleaning too. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, this is the next person's problem. So anyway, sometimes, only sometimes when it was definitely above my pay grade and wasn't in my job description. So okay, so there was some doofus who would always come in there and like whenever it was my turn to clean, all right. That the boys' bathroom was damaged. Like I don't know how it got damaged, but there were parts of it that were broken. Like the part that hold the toilet paper covers, someone broke that off, and like the whole thing fell off. Mm-hmm. I couldn't put that back up. I didn't have the nails, screwdrivers with me.
Was the graffiti bad in the bathroom?
Yeah, there was graffiti in there. There was like all sorts of stuff.
It's like a grocery store, but it has like the bathroom of a gas station in the middle of nowhere.
Well, one of them does. The other bathrooms are fine. And basically, right? No, geez, I hope none of my bosses watch this. They definitely fire me. Actually, no, I didn't do anything that was outside my job
Nobody
description.
gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Tell the story.
Okay,
what
so
was it?
basically,
I'm dying of curiosity. What was it?
I'm telling you, just shut up. All right, so this one guy would come in there, right? And he would literally come in there. Like he would, okay, so what he would do.
What are you implying here?
Okay.
He would come in there? Like,
What
are
do you-
you
okay,
implying
so
what I think
basically-
you're implying?
You
Yeah,
would come
so-
and then come in.
Yes, he would. So basically, right? I don't know what this guy was on, but yeah, he would definitely do drugs. But he would go in there, and then like he would spend an hour in the bathroom. I know is because when you go in there and there's someone in there, you just clean as much as you can, but you don't clean inside the stall if there's someone in there. So he was inside the stall the hour I was supposed to clean. So then I was like, all right, I cleaned up outside the stall. I'm going to come out, do whatever else I'm supposed to do, pushing carts or sweeping and like do bagging. And then I'll come back and like after 15 minutes is plenty of time for him to finish doing whatever he needs to do and come back. But he was still there. And I was like, okay. And then I went out and I did it again and again. And then like 4 times I did that. He was in there for an hour. And then like when he left, he fucking smelled disgusting. And when I went in there, it was fucking unsightly, all right? First off, this isn't just him. Everyone did this. With the toilet paper, they would always, they after they were done using the toilet paper, there was no trash can next to it, and I guess they refused to flush it down the toilet, which would have been the other option. So they just pile it next to them, next to the toilet, so it's all on the floor. Yeah, and then there was also a magazine on the right side of the toilet, right? And when I touched it with the broom, it was sticky as all hell. It was so fucking sticky.
Yep.
He did exactly what I thought he did in
Yep,
there.
he-
Why else would he be
he
there
indeed
for an
did
hour?
come.
Yes.
How often would this happen?
This happened at least once a week, at least. It was every time
Jesus,
I had to
man.
clean. It was pretty bad. I mean, like it was like not a great first experience for the job, to be honest. With the retail, it was
Okay, what's the kick? You can't do it at home like everyone else.
It's like Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, it was awful. And like the worst part is that like it wasn't even like a porno mag. It was just like a Sports Illustration. The woman was fully covered in the front. So
Maybe
it's
he's
like,
into ankles or something.
I think I know what it is. It's like, yeah, it was pretty bad. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the guy's homeless because I mean I don't know who kind of does that kind of behavior.
Well, I guess if you gotta do it somewhere, you gotta do it there.
I feel kind of bad because if he's homeless, that explains why he's doing it with that kind of magazine because he doesn't have a lot of other options.
Courtesy flush.
Yeah, so I hope that guy gets a home because there's a lot of homeless people by our area, and like, look, it's beneficial if they get a home for everybody because then they don't need to do it like in there, you know. But as a whole, my experience cleaning bathrooms in retail, god awful.
So
god awful.
Did you discard the magazine or what'd you do with it?
Yeah, I did. I would discard the magazine, but I wouldn't touch it with my hands, obviously.
Yeah, just
it would just
the
be
grabber or
really
whatever.
hard with the broom, though, you know? But, like, I'm not
Just
touching it with my
fidgeting
hands.
with the
By the
thing.
way, if I need to clean something and it's stuck to the floor, like, sometimes, like, after they used the tissue with the toilet paper, they would throw the toilet paper on the floor, and then, like, it would stick to the
Of course,
ground.
it never
Like,
lands perfectly.
If it doesn't come off with the broom, I'm fucking done, all right? I'm not doing anything else that requires me physically touching it. I'm not contractually stipulated because they're out of gloves all the time too. So it's like I didn't have the glove option either. So it's like I'm not risking like disease for like $16 an hour. You know what I mean? Like $16 an hour is not like the lowest amount.
You don't want to get cholera.
It's not like a bad amount per se, but it's a bad amount for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I do it for maybe 18 or 20.
Just
but
$2 more.
Or 20.
Yeah.
Hey,
It
it makes a
adds
difference.
up.
You'd be surprised. It adds
Be
up.
surprised. $1 extra an hour. If you ever had a wage job, it makes a huge difference. Because I work 16 an hour, right?
Yeah.
So like if I worked 8 hours, right? That's like 120, 135, something like that. Actually, someone get a calculator out. Get a calculator. You can calculate
No
that right
phones on
now.
the podcast.
164, something like that.
Yeah.
But like if you make $20 an hour, that's just $4 more, right? But in hour, it adds up. So that means if I did 20, like for 8 hours, then that's like 160 as opposed to like if I did 16 for 8 and it's like 120. You know, so
Yeah.
it's a big difference.
Yeah.
You know, actually, you know what? Let me calculate that right now. That was really stupid calculations. I gotta figure out, but it
I have
makes
a
a
phone.
difference.
Hold
So yeah, it actually does make a difference. Like that's why like unions they fight for like $1 extra an hour. It's not a it is a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it makes a substantial difference.
Unless you're Disney, though, it'll
Yeah,
kill you.
128. I was close.
Okay.
And then like
He knows his math.
20. No, my calculator knows the math. 20
He's the
times
human
8.
calculator.
Yeah, I know. It's like if people are just listening to it and not watching it, they'll just think I'm like a whiz, you know? But yeah, 160 is a big difference between 128. And then like if I did that for the week, you know?
Yeah.
If I made this much for the entire week or the entire week I work, just times 4, $640, right?
Yeah.
So that would be it. But if I just did 16 times 8, right? You know, times the same amount, times 4, it's 515. That's a huge difference,
It's actually
dude.
$512.
Yeah, $512. But like, it's a huge difference, you know. So
It does make
yeah,
a difference.
yeah. So that's why I would do that for $4 more. But
Okay.
I mean, ideally, I wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah. Ideally.
if I'm getting paid for it, you know. But
What would you want to do? Like if somebody paid you any amount, millions of dollars, and you could pick anything you want, what would you want to do?
right, I guess.
Right?
Yeah, like short stories, probably.
I'd love to write too.
Yeah, short stories. Maybe if they
I
wanted
think for
to
me, it would be
write
drawing, probably.
Oh, yeah, he draws a lot too.
Really?
Yeah, not the greatest, though.
What drawings do you do?
Mostly generic faces and stuff.
He also did a map. He does maps sometimes. Like
Try
Maps?
to do stuff that's unique.
Yeah, that's good. To or like anything creative that makes you enjoy the process of, like, it doesn't matter
that's
if
what we
you're
were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter like what it's other people think about it. It doesn't matter if somebody's like watch or if somebody's gonna look at it or not. what matters is if you enjoy doing it and does it make you happy in the process of it.
Totally. Actually, dude, now I kind of, so like all right, so like when I did my interview, my boss was really impressed with my interview. He's like, oh, that was like the best interview we ever got, right?
So it's like a movie.
It's like grocery store.
Yeah, so
fucking
then
interview.
he was like, all right, what we're gonna have planned for you is that you're just gonna work in retail for like
Talking
4
to the
weeks.
microphone.
Sorry, we're gonna have you work in retail for like 4 weeks, and then we're gonna promote you to like working in pharmacy. So I got I'm working in pharmacy now. There's no pay bump or anything, but like it's a more prestigious position.
Yeah.
Because he said it was like the best pharmacy in the country, like ranked wise. Yeah, like
In the country?
not my
In the country?
not my specific like store.
Yeah.
Not the store in itself, but just like the pharmacy chain.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
the best pharmacy in the country.
Not country, like state.
State, okay.
County, maybe he said.
State. No, it's state. He said state. It was like pretty big. So like I don't know. It's something that'll be cool to put on a resume.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, I work in pharmacy now. It's really slow when there's no customers, but man, oh man, is it much more preferable to pushing carts in 100-degree heat, which I didn't. And
For the first
and
few
also
weeks.
first 4 weeks, and also cleaning the shitty bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's infinitely more
Is
preferable.
this how you
to
got
all
the
of
back
that.
injury?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I just was sleeping wrong. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I love working in pharmacy. Pharmacy's great.
Yeah.
What
I
do they
love
make
it.
you do? Just like pick out.
Okay, so like I just have like a similar position where I'm the clerk. I check out
Yeah.
the prescriptions for people. Other times I'm unloading
Do
boxes.
they make you like memorize certain stuff?
Yeah. I have to memorize people's like names
I
and
mean,
stuff.
you got to because you could kill somebody.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
you
gotta-
can't give people the wrong medicine.
the
That
wrong
would go
shit, yeah.
way wrong. And I have not done that, and I will continue to
Yeah,
not do that.
let's
I
continue
am-
the good streak.
Yeah. I'm limited in the amount of stuff I'm legally allowed to tell you because there's this thing called HIPAA, the Health Information Protection Agents Act. So it just
They
protects.
made you sign an NDA.
Yeah, it's okay, bro. We don't need to know if
it's
you're
it's a
giving-
legal thing. It's like a federal law.
We don't need
is
to
that-
know if you're giving methamphetamine.
Yeah. Also, you can't like obviously it's like you can't give over the counter drugs. Certain drugs you can't give over the counter. But here's the thing: it's because all the medicine, a lot of the medication can be used as ingredients for like drugs. So that's why all the drugs in our store are regulated by the DEA.
Aren't they locked
which
up
means,
too?
Yeah, some of them are. But like that's why like the really important ones, yeah. But that's why like the DEA regulates it, which means that if anything goes missing or like inventory doesn't match, like it's inconsistent, and it's like a huge deal. Then it gets
Yeah.
under investigation by the DEA.
What's the most like the what I'm trying to say is
expensive thing? I don't think I can tell you.
Common.
yeah, like common drug most people get prescribed.
A lot of people take a lot of people take sleeping pills.
Sleeping pills.
Really? I
Damn.
thought insulin was going to be a high one. because
Insulin's
of
another
diabetes.
big one. Insulin's another big one, and then there's also blood pressure medication.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the one that I've seen like leave the store the most.
Damn.
And then I'm not violating any HIPAA since I haven't named any names, but like yeah, there's that. But most of the customers are old.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah,
You-
there's
you
like
expect that,
no
kind of.
young person goes to the pharmacy.
Senile.
And I would have thought they would because I thought, okay, maybe young people don't have as much physical health problems per se, but like I was at least thinking like neurological problems. Like I thought like maybe there'd be anxiety medication that teenagers would take or that like people in college would take, or like, like maybe they would take like ADHD medication.
Maybe it's
and,
the
you know,
area. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could
or
be. There's a
like
lot of old people in
sleeping
El Modena.
medication too. People need to sleep like Dayquil or NyQuil, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe there's been some new studies on the
I think
effects.
the only
I
thing
think it's good though.
I've seen
that,
like
that.
yeah, for sure.
Younger people aren't taking that much medication.
It
Well,
might
it's
be,
bad
it
for
might be
business,
because
though.
yeah, I mean, it might,
Dude, everything's a fucking business.
but it might be bad. It could be a good thing. It might be because they're healthy, or it could be a bad thing because maybe they do need the medication, but they don't want to get it. All right. But here's the thing. The only time like a young person like in like their 20s like comes, like I've only seen three 20-year-olds, 20 somethings. I mean, come to the store.
We get it.
And they were all like getting like, well, two of them were getting birth control pills.
Oh, I see what happened.
Yeah. And then like that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was recently watching a podcast about like the big pharma and how it like all works. Like it was some guy on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think his name's Brigham, who has a stem cell research company, or like not research, but it's a stem cell company that gives people stem cells to rehabilitate like their shoulder, like or their knees, anything that's causing them pain. They see that, you know, it requires surgery, or they could get stem cells, which have been working for a lot of people. I don't know if there's the most amount of scientific study done on it just yet, but research is showing that it could be a great way to treat people in the future. Like the more research people do, the more people that get stem cells, they're seeing great results. Like where
like in the long term.
Yeah, and not. I'm not sure about long term effects just yet, but it definitely in the short term, the way regeneration happens for them, like instead of getting surgery and you getting fit with like metal plates and shit, you get stem cells,
So it's like
and
the
it
real life
triggers
Wolverine.
Yeah, it basically triggers your body's actual like defense systems and rehabilitation.
enhanced.
Yeah,
all right.
you kind of build.
Okay.
mean-
I mean, look.
I think it's a good technology, but my worry is if someone, you know, like a Hitler ends up with it.
Oh yeah,
Like, what do we do now?
Actually, you know, like the pharmacy.
I don't think it makes you invincible. It like just heals you, and it takes a while.
Also,
to heal,
the
like a few
prices
months.
at the pharmacy I work at, they're really high. Like some of it's like $600, $700.
Okay, we
Like,
don't want to get too deep into that
Descriptive?
info.
Yeah,
Don't want to
sure.
get you in trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure. Whatever.
600. I know, like it's,
I was just giving like a random number. None of
That's
this
cheap
is actual
compared to the
price.
medicine in Mexico.
But it's
by
like
God.
really expensive. Is my point.
yeah. It for them to make, that's what they were talking about on the podcast. Like the pharmaceutical companies, to them, it's like dirt cheap to make
Yeah.
it, and
And then they make
They
a
s-
profit off of it. you know?
they make they sell it to.
I'm curious.
people that-
Curious how it works in a free healthcare system.
I think it's the same.
Really?
It's
I think you
probably
still have
even,
to buy medicine, don't you?
Yeah, you still.
Like the doctor's
Okay,
appointments
well,
are
you know,
free.
here's
Or-
what happens. And usually in like countries with like really like free healthcare, what happens is that the checkups are free, right? Here you pay for checkups. That's what a copay is. Or if you have good insurance, you don't pay for a checkup because like your insurance covers everything.
Yeah.
But in other countries, literally going to a doctor can be expensive. Just like
Yeah.
literally seeing if there is a problem and then prescribing a solution to a
Yeah.
problem is a separate cost.
But everything's basically corrupted. Like the insurance companies are working with the pharmaceutical companies,
So
and the
it's like-
pharmaceutical
yeah, they don't-
companies
like a
are working
They
cycle.
don't
with the
care about
government.
your health. It's a business.
It's a business, bro.
It's a
like
cannibalistic cycle.
Yeah.
they want more people to give drugs to.
I literally-
and everybody benefits except the consumer.
I literally had a muscle spasm in my back or
Yeah.
something like that where I was hurting. I had to go to the nearest hospital from me, like Chalk or whatever. I'm familiar with them because that's where I had chemo done. Anyway, so I go up there and I'm like, my back's hurting and stuff. And they're like, let's do an x-ray. And I'm like, why do I need an x-ray? It's a muscle pain. They're like, let's do it to be on the safe side. And I'm like, it's a muscle pain. It's not a bone pain. They do it. And of course, they're like, we were unable to find anything wrong with your back. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
But that's
it's a muscle pain, not a back pain. And then they're like, all right, that'll be 300. That'll be
yeah.
like 150 or whatever. And I'm like, too soon. It's like, you know, can we wait until
Yeah, I know,
leave
dude.
at least?
It's fucking
Yeah.
crazy. Like all they hear about is profits. Like pharmaceutical companies have become like a business where before they were talking about in the 60s and stuff, probably even before that, they cared about the patient. They wanted to treat the patient.
Yeah,
they wanted them to live a healthy
patient
life.
centered,
I mean,
yeah.
But then once it got corporate and everything's based on quarters. So if the quarter before or the current quarter is less profit than the previous quarter,
Then it's
the
like considered a
stakeholders get
failure
back.
and they
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah.
they
I mean,
gotta make
they-
I
adjustments.
won't say that, you know, not all the systems are bad. I mean, you know, the cancer system is pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I made it out. You know, 3 rounds of chemo.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But you know,
glad
yeah,
you did.
there's definitely. I think Obamacare was it was a good attempt, but you know, we need some kind of an attempt to fix the system because I mean, if our fucking neighbors can do better than us,
Yeah.
we
But
have no excuse.
Even there, people are saying the lines to wait.
To be fair,
fucking-
or
I
to
had
be
to
fair,
pay in
right?
Mexico.
Okay. Hear me out. No, I hear that line thing a lot, and like, yeah, I'm sure that's like an
think maybe in
inconvenience.
a
But
place
hear
like
me out.
Mexico, it's a problem.
Hear me out. Hear me out. So I think the line thing is a problem, like not a problem, like an inconvenience. I get
Yeah,
that.
an
But the thing is that, but I think there's a difference between an inconvenience and like an issue.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I have to choose between like actually being able to afford the checkup versus being in a line for a checkup that I can't afford, I'll choose the other one. I'll wait because the thing, I live in a private healthcare system country, right?
Yeah.
There are huge fucking lines. I've never been to a doctor where he immediately calls my name. It's like a 3-hour fucking wait. And even then, he'll call me in just to have his assistant tell him
free
it's busy.
healthcare, we have to wait.
Yeah, so it's fucking stupid. That argument, no offense, is the dumbest argument, I think. I think you could make an argument against it, but that's a bad one.
People say the waiting list is too long. What the fuck? What are you talking about? The waiting list is long here, too.
Yeah.
I had a friend who needed a new kidney, and he had to wait like couple
Some
months.
people die before they get the kidney thing.
Oh yeah, especially with we're not going to get into that right now. Especially with veterans healthcare, like they fucking wait until the person dies and then they're like, "Here's your kidney. Where'd he go?"
Damn.
It's so messed up. Like, the world is so corrupt with certain things. It's like we managed to go to space and all that and stuff, but
like,
we
why do
can't
people care
understand
so much about money? Like,
we can't
what's
understand the
fascination?
basic needs of healthcare. It's just ridiculous.
Just out of curiosity, when you go on to like edit this stuff, you can't remove anything or anything.
I could, but I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was thinking there might be something.
Every mid-sentence and breath is captured.
No, because there might be something that I need removed in case it violates HIPAA, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, he uploads clips, so
Okay, yeah.
I think most people watch the clips. Only a
No,
minority.
everyone watches it. More people watches the whole thing.
I think more people listen to it.
I have a few friends who listen to the whole
we got
thing.
more people listen because a podcast is like an audio thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That is
just
true.
in case there's something I need to remove for copyright reasons or legality reasons. That's like
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get a new sponsor here.
I'll listen to it, and if there is anything, I'll fucking find out and let you know.
Baller, man, baller.
Glad we're talking about this right on the chat.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The listeners like, we don't give a fuck. Let me just
Yeah. No, I mean just like to avoid copyright shit or whatever. Yeah.
for legal reasons. It's crazy the amount of.
This is another
legal
problem with
work.
corporations.
I think you'll be all right.
copyright.
I think you'll be all right though. You're not Andrew Tate or something like that.
No, I didn't say anything controversial. I mean, I just want to avoid legality. You were saying about like, corporate stuff. Like, it makes it harder. Ironically, corporatism actually makes it harder for free
Freedom of speech, yeah.
Because, like, thing is that they actually get to decide what is. Like,
they're like,
sponsors
"No,
get to
you can't
decide
say
what
that."
people say. And then because they have the platform, they can decide who gets deplatformed or not, right?
It's crazy. Like, the amount of people that have an opinion on something, but just because it's the opposite of what these corporations think.
Yeah.
Fuck these
deplatformed.
I think the cringiest thing I see some sponsors doing is when there's sexual allegations and then like they immediately pull out and then it's been proven that the allegations were fake.
Yeah.
It's like they don't wait. They like go with the crowd and it's like immediately pull out.
I mean, okay, for that one, it's usually because they're trying to avoid controversy because they can heavily avoid their, value for the price. I get why they do it. I don't agree, but like, I get why they do it.
I think it goes to show that cancel culture can be a little, like not helpful when it comes to certain things.
I think if
circumstantial evidence isn't always.
No, if there's like allegations about something, not necessarily like sexual assault, like something like say like someone was
it's a serious issue,
emotionally abusive or something, and then like there's allegations about it, but then they were later disproven or whatever. I don't know how you disprove that, but like if they were, then I guess people have a I guess a greater tendency or more immediate tendency to the punishment or the social ostracization of the person before actually, any sort of contemplation or investigation of any kind.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it is kind of weird that like nobody that takes part in this kind of ostracization ever like takes self-accountability. You know what I mean? Because we're always quick to punish other people, but like we never really hold ourselves accountable for like stuff that we were wrong about.
Like Johnny Depp, like everybody was quick to turn against him, but then once the evidence came back, it's like, we're so sorry, man.
Yeah.
We were
actually,
so wrong.
No. I heard the opposite. It's that people that believe that Johnny Depp did it, right? And then like if they believe Johnny Depp now, they don't admit that they used to not believe him.
Well,
they don't admit that they used to be the guy.
Themselves
there were a couple people who did say they were happy he was coming back, who might have turned their backs on him.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's what I'm saying, is that they don't admit that
They don't hold themselves accountable to believe.
It's mostly the
say,
fans.
they don't
Mostly
say,
the fans who
I
say
believed the stuff. But, okay, so with the Johnny Depp situation, right, is that some people believe that it was like a mutually abusive relationship or whatever, right?
Mutual.
And it
Okay.
might have been.
might have been,
I might have been only because I've seen like footage of him like yelling at her or like smashing stuff in the room.
I mean,
I just never seen
every
him. It
relationship
might
is
exist.
toxic.
It might exist.
Every
I just
relationship
haven't
has
seen
some issues.
I haven't seen footage of him like physically putting his hands on her in like an aggressive manner.
Yeah.
I've only seen like footage. I've seen like results of her doing that to him, like with like the injuries on his face and everything. But I mean, there is one thing is interesting. It's that Amber Heard, right? Here's the thing, that every single person who like claims to support Amber Heard and like as a victim of abuse, and like it says that, oh, like Johnny Depp is like the worst person in the world. Every person who says that, right? None of them know or refuse to know that Amber Heard was arrested previously for assaulting her girlfriend at an airport.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was convicted. The thing is that one of them is a convicted abuser.
Really?
You know?
What?
The other one...
Was that brought up in court?
Yeah, it was brought up in court, but it was almost immediately dismissed. And then she claimed, oh, that was Johnny Depp's team made that lie up. But the thing is that...
It's on record.
First off, it's on record, and it happened before the two of them started dating.
Damn.
So he would have had to have gone back in time to do that. But that just shows how hypocritical a lot of people are who supposedly care about like women's rights. I guess they didn't care about the rights of the woman that Amber Heard hurt.
Yeah. That is one thing that scares me about some feminists. You know?
And again, like with the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, a bunch of people were like taking Will Smith's side and saying, oh, anyone who like disagrees with Will Smith, you know, they will find them and we'll punish them like vigilantes.
Find them.
Well, that's funny. But like the thing is that like they claim to be these like, you know, self-righteous people, but like there was so many like cool stuff that happened that night. Like immediately after, like not immediately, but like a while after Will Smith got slapped, like one of the first like deaf people won an Oscar, like or a person with like a disability won an Oscar, but no one paid attention to him. Everyone was paying attention to the slap thing, and that sucks for that guy because that was probably a big night. See, that was the thing about the Will Smith slapping it, is that he turned something that was like about everybody and made it about him. You know,
And he
That's the
even
thing.
won an Oscar. Like he
Yeah, he won an
Best
Oscar.
Actor.
He didn't really face any physical, like empirical consequences or repercussions of it. People are acting like, oh, his whole world turned upside down when Chris made that joke. No, it isn't. The dude's still a millionaire.
Yeah.
The dude is still like
But I don't
living
think
it
that's
up.
something like you should
His
be.
legacy might be affected.
You
but
shouldn't
it'd
be like
alright.
put in jail for slapping someone. Like
I don't
like
think he should be in jail for it. I'm just saying I don't think he's like
So
a
you go to jail
victim
if you
of.
slap somebody?
No, I'm saying that shouldn't happen.
No, I'm not saying you should
I
go
was
to
about
jail.
to test the theory.
I'm not saying you should go to jail, man. I'm just saying is that like he's not a victim of like of extra proportional magnitude or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's got a lot of issues going on.
Yeah.
And like, I
think-
get it, but like at the same time, Chris Rock is also a pretty chill guy because he was asked if he wanted to press charges, and
I
he
also
said
think
no.
his personal life
Yeah.
should have been kept out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to
to be
know
fair,
if his
though-
girlfriend or his wife has like a side
extramarital
person-
affairs.
Yeah.
Did you know about that? His wife like cheated on him.
I heard
Yeah.
rumors about. It. I don't know
It
if
wasn't a
anything's
rumor.
true.
She went on her own show called The Red Table in front of her husband Will Smith to talk about her affair with another man in front of Will Smith, and then she talked about how good it made her feel and how she never felt that way in a long time.
Damn.
Basically implying that he couldn't satisfy
This was on
her.
a fucking show.
It was on
Yeah,
a show that
dude.
posted online. Here's the thing: people are like, their marriage is their business, dude. Listen, I agree with that. If it was like some fucking invasive reporter like broke into their home and
TMZ
found
or
that,
something.
or someone hacked their phone, then I agree. It's like, oh, their privacy is being, but. She literally posted it purposely on an ad service. Like she got paid for relaying this information for millions of people to see, for the whole world to see. If this was truly a private thing, they wouldn't post it online. You know?
I don't know.
Like, that's
Celebrities
it.
are just weird.
Like it's just fucking wild, bro. Like that is just wild. I think, look, another thing is that I think that she's kind of a bad person for a couple of reasons, okay?
A couple?
No,
A
yeah.
couple?
Here's the thing. People are like, oh, you don't get it. They consented to an open relationship. So if you're mad at Jay, like, okay, dude, they're millionaires. Just relax, okay? If a random guy like me who has, I think, like 200 followers, nothing more, just says their opinion about them, they're not going to combust. They're going to be fine, you know? You're acting like you physically attack them when you make, like, the slightest bit of critique of how they live their social life and how it affects other people. But, like, basically, it's like this, right? she met the man that she had an affair with, right? August Smith, I think. No, August something.
Smith.
No, what's his name?
guy?
No, what's his name?
Is it like his
Smith's
brother?
half-brother.
Yeah.
What's his name? It's August something.
I don't know. Just
But anyway,
August.
that guy that she had an affair with, she actually met through her son. It was her son's friend.
What?
He was actually, I think, closer to her son's age than
Damn,
hers.
what a twist, yo.
Damn.
Which is kind of creepy. I don't know about you, but I think it's like weird to like
Yeah.
to like
It is kind of weird dating
sleep with
someone
your,
who
your
you
child's
knew
friend. That's
growing up.
That's pretty
Yeah.
creepy. That's
You saw grow.
that's pretty creepy. I don't like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, Queen Elizabeth dated her cousin, so I guess.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I guess it's not.
I mean, like,
it's not.
they're
it's not out of the
royals.
realm.
They like to keep it in the family.
Yeah,
You know what I
they
mean?
like to sweet home
But like, I
Alabama.
thought that was weird. But like, no, I agree with you that like, yeah, you know, he shouldn't go to jail or nothing. But like, dude's massively insecure. And like the whole family's pretty weird. I mean, it's like
yeah.
I don't know
Especially Jaden Smith.
What's Jaden Smith doing? What did he do?
I don't know. He did a commercial for that clothing
No,
line.
what
I
did they
forget
do?
what it was.
New Balance.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
Balance. And I don't even know what the
he's
daughter's doing.
I think they go by they them. I think. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember.
But Jaden's a cool guy for sure. Like he makes good music.
Should get him on the podcast.
I hope so. I love listening to his music.
actually, I don't know what
And,
Jaden Smith did. I don't think they did anything controversial. Never mind. Maybe they did. I don't remember.
yeah.
Continue.
Yeah,
I honestly feel bad for him. You know, he was
You know
forced
what?
to-
You watch Practical Jokers? Ever heard of it?
I've watched it before.
Okay,
yeah.
well, there's one of them. Sal got a tattoo of Jaden Smith on his thigh.
What?
You didn't know about that?
No.
For punishment. For punishment, like when the
Like
game
his
is
face? Or-
yeah, his face on his inner thigh. So like how the show works is that all the friends dare each other to do embarrassing stuff.
Yeah, I know-
But every
I know the
time you
show.
say no, yeah, you know the premise. But in
Yeah.
case people are listening,
Okay,
they
yeah,
know
yeah,
the
yeah.
premise. So it's like, yeah, you basically dare people. That it's for lifelong friends who dare each other to embarrass each other. You have to dare them to do something like, oh, say this to that person or do this, and then they have
Yeah.
to do
And
it,
they're,
no
like,
matter how
mic'd
embarrassing it
up
is.
to-
Yeah, then they tell them through mics or behind the thing. But every time they say no, every time they refuse to do something, they get a thumbs down. And the person with the most thumbs down by the end of the episode gets a punishment, which is where they have to do something and they can't say no to it. That's
Yeah.
the contract. That's
Yeah. They
if you
have to do
if you refuse to do the punishment specifically, you're off the show.
Yeah.
That's the contract. What the contract states. So. One time, Joe was the only winner, and the three other guys lost. So that all of them were punished, and Joe gave each of them a tattoo that they would have to get tattooed on them, and they didn't reveal the tattoo till the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So each of them got a tattoo that actually had some meaning to their lives. But when it was Sal's turn to get a tattoo and he revealed the tattoo and ripped it off, it was Jaden Smith on his inner thigh, and that's like on his thigh, and that's the worst place to
Like
have
a
the
big-
tattoo.
a
Big
big
face
tattoo.
of Jaden Smith, and then Sal was like, "Why did you do that? What does that even have to do with me?"
I will
He's
never
like, I don't know.
forgive
It's
you.
just funny, you know. He said, "I will never forgive you about that." It was so fucking funny.
God damn.
And he said, "Why didn't you just give them the other two Smiths? Why didn't you make him Willow and him Will? It could have been the Smiths." And then now it just doesn't make any sense for him to have
Yeah,
the
just
tattoo.
have
And
one-
one of them said to him, like, "Oh, you better not go to jail with that tattoo," because at the time Jaden was still a minor.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like
yeah.
if you went to jail with like a minor on your thigh, because people in prison, there's a culture where they beat the shit out of or even kill people who are like pedophiles or weirdos, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's like they don't fuck with pedophiles, they kill you. So it's like if you come in to jail with like a child's face on your thigh of all places, they're gonna be asking a question like, why do you have a child's face?
That's why
like,
laser surgery
that's
exists.
weird choice, you know?
Unless
So-
it's like their own kid.
I
but,
guess so. That
yeah.
would be the only explanation for why that would
like
make
maybe
sense.
a deceased sibling or something.
Okay, I guess there's like two instances where
Yeah.
that would make sense, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
But like you just mentioned Jaden Smith, and I remember that. And then Sal met Jaden Smith, and then
Showed it to him.
Yeah, and then Jaden Smith saw him get another tattoo of Jaden Smith on his other thigh. It was so funny, dude. Okay, but Jaden Smith, I guess, like, is pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like, yeah,
I mean,
He has a
feel-
water company
I
too.
feel a
that-
little bad for the guy. He tried
I feel-
having an acting career. And
I
then-
feel bad for the
just
children
died.
to have weird parents.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, apparently Jaden Smith asked. I was wondering your thoughts on this. Jaden Smith, when they were 15 years old, had
Talking to the microphone.
sorry.
Yeah.
Jaden Smith, when Jaden Smith was 15, they asked their parents if they could be legally emancipated. So if you guys aren't familiar with the term, an emancipated minor is the term for minors who are legally children who want to become fiscally independent, which means that they pay their own, like they become their own legally recognized income earners and their own they become managers of their own welfare.
Yeah.
So they essentially become their own guardians.
Pay
so
their
basically,
tax and
like an
separately and
adult,
everything.
but there's some exceptions. One, you still can't vote, you still can't drink, and you're still, I believe, exempt from taxes until you're 18.
Oh, okay.
But one thing about emancipated minor is that you do get to buy your own apartment, assuming that the private company allows minors to, if they're willing to still allow minors. But, you will find that. If you live in a big area,
You will
you'll find that. Dude, shut up, all right? The first one I gave to you, but the second one, that was really pushing it. Okay, so anyway, yeah, it's that's what an emancipated minor is.
Yeah.
So Jane Smith wanted to be an emancipated minor at 15, which, I mean, they could have been.
Damn.
I mean, they were rich. Their allowance, so to speak, was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think they had ventures in businesses anyway.
He has a water
sponsors.
company that
but
has
did they invest in
reusable
that
waters.
before they were 18 or something?
I'm pretty sure he was maybe 18, maybe 17, 16, who knows?
Okay, well,
I don't know the exact
yeah,
age.
okay, yeah, I mean, but the point is that they could have done it. Emancipated minor is pretty rare because you actually do have to sue for the case because most of the time parents aren't willing to let the children, be free in the world by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to do that because they wanted to explore the world and explore their independence, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the mother was horrified by it. She was like, why would they want to leave me or anything? But
My babies.
I'm thinking, man, with parents like that, I'd want to leave too. Because they had some issues clearly, and I don't know how it would affect a kid. I mean, it definitely affects a kid whether you wanted to or not.
But I think they came out better than they should.
If they left on their own, they would have been
in general, having that. Having famous parents living that celebrity life,
it's
they
not
came out
you.
pretty well.
I get that, but it's not like you lose those connections once you become emancipated. You could still talk to one of Will's. If you were Will's kid, you could still after adult, you could still talk to one of Will's connections.
Yeah,
that's your connection officially. But I mean, I get that. I was gonna ask your opinion on that. Would you have? Do you think if you were financially physically able to, do you think you would have taken that route of being
probably
emancipated
not
minor?
I don't think
because it's only a few years. You don't have to.
No, true.
Why go
I guess
through
you
all
only
the
have to
fucking
wait
struggle?
3 years or
Yeah.
something. I mean, some people become emancipated minors or try to become emancipated minors really early on, 12 or something.
Yeah, but I don't
it's
see
only
the
for
point.
people that want access to their own money.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that there's laws.
I think it would be good for people who do or kids who do child acting.
I actually do agree because there's this huge problem in the child acting industry. It's still apparent that the parents of the child actors, they take all their money because legally you're not allowed to own that money, not all of it, or at least access it anyway.
Yeah.
It is your money, but you're not allowed to access it until you turn 18, depending on how old
There's
you
a
are.
bunch of laws around that,
and
but
then the
not many people
parents
follow them.
the parents put it in their account and they tell their kids, oh, don't worry, I'm watching this money for you, and then when you become an adult, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And what happens is they just spend all the kids' money, and by the time the kid actually becomes old enough, they can't access it. This actually happened to Macaulay Culkin. His parents were
they were getting a
coke
divorce.
addicts. Yeah, and they were coke addicts too. We're spending it on coke and everything.
Jeez.
It was really terrible. And by the time he became an adult, it was no.
And that's his biggest role is him as a
Home
kid.
Alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, he made millions off of that, and
Yeah.
he probably has never seen much of that money.
Yeah.
that's a way that
I think now he gets a good what's the check they give you once the movie is finished, but
Royalties?
royalties, yeah.
Yeah.
He probably gets royalties from
I
it.
don't know about that, but maybe.
I mean,
from
it depends.
people-
You actually have to. You don't get royalties automatically. You have to build a
You
case
have
for
to-
it. You have to ask for it. And
I think
then give it to you.
he's probably done that because the movie does so well literally every holiday season.
I don't think he did that
that
because you would
movie-
you would have to do it at a certain point, and then later on it gets harder. And he was a kid, and remember, the kids
No,
don't.
I'm
think
talking about now.
Oh, now?
Now he probably has
Yeah.
royalties and stuff.
Maybe,
I'll look it up.
maybe. I
I'll
don't
look it
know.
up because it's still
Have to
really
look
hard to
it
do
up.
that. Because the cast of Friends, they wanted royalties, but the royalties they were getting weren't a lot. So then they formed a union, and then they bargained for the rights to better royalties and stuff like that.
I think Seinfeld has royalties for sure.
I
He
think
has.
the royalties aren't that great though. It's $20 an episode.
It adds up though. If
Yeah,
if you get 12 cents per DVD
It's not like
sale,
Spotify where it's 10 cents or something.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people get really screwed over with royalties, as in they don't get royalties. There's some examples. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
The Three Stooges, they never owned any of their works. So they basically, a lot of them died really broke.
Oh, speaking of not owning, basically, creators of cartoons, they're like the biggest, most screwed over people.
Yeah, it's so fucked. A lot of times what happens is basically they when they pitch a show to somebody and like they greenlit it, they have to sign over the rights to it to the network.
Yeah, so
Meaning
like,
they get paid upfront and also get paid for working on the show. But any merchandise, reruns, video games, anything,
But
is
any
completely
intellectual
studio-owned.
property,
Yeah.
is owned by them.
And
Yeah.
there have been so many cases from time to time where they pitch a show, take the property away, and then a couple episodes come out and they cancel the show for tax write-offs, and the creator can't make any more of the work anymore.
Damn.
You remember the one about the sticker, the girl who made the little cute animations on the internet?
Oh, yeah, she
And
did.
Nickelodeon, they're like, we want to make a pilot of the show. And then the worst timing happened where executives were changing. And the new executives were like, what the fuck is this? We don't want this. And so they canceled her show. It was a successful internet show. And because they held the rights, she couldn't even make it anymore.
But since she signed it before, like the executive came in, she signed like the rights over already.
Yeah, she signed the
shit.
rights, so it was permanent. So
Damn.
they didn't even give her property back. Although I think there are some laws where eventually
if
it
it's
expires.
canceled, and they should just give it back.
There
you know?
are some laws where it eventually expires because the creator of Jimmy Neutron posts Jimmy Neutron stuff. So I think there is some sort of law where it eventually expires the rights. If they're not using it, I think there is a law where if you're not using a property, you can be sued and other people can own that property because you have to use it for a certain amount of time. Like for example, with the Fantastic Four, the reason Fox made the movies was because they
their
had
contract
to.
said that if they don't use it.
Let one person talk.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, you finish.
The contract said if their rights to it said that if they don't make a movie, if they don't use the rights to make a movie every certain amount of years, then they lose the rights.
Damn.
Yeah, there was tons of other companies that own a bunch of Marvel properties, but they never did anything. So they paid all this money for this shit. But nothing. But
I think now it's gonna change though, because it's gotten so easy for people to come up with their own ideas and then also create those ideas. You could just download a software or learn some video editing, and then you could create a show. You could put it up on YouTube, make money that way, and you don't have to go through these companies and corporations all the time. You could have a successful enterprise of your own.
Oh yeah, totally.
There is a drawback to that though. A lot of these people make the sacrifice to go to the networks is because they give you basically a ton of free advertisement and a more broad opening to newer people. But at the same time, they can fuck you over real easily.
Yeah, you don't own your content. You don't. Own
you want to tell them about what happened to one Nickelodeon creator?
Yeah. So if you know about this show called Chowder, it came on Cartoon Network.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. He also made a show on Nickelodeon called Harvey Beaks. All right, so basically he was really passionate about the show and everything, and then one day Nickelodeon just canceled the show and they didn't tell him. They just canceled it, right? And then he found out like on Twitter, right? And then like basically he wanted his own Twitter, and then he just said like, oh, it sucks that Nickelodeon canceled the show and they didn't even tell me about it. And then Nickelodeon, because there were a bunch of really powerful executives, they basically had him by the throat, and they said that hey, if you don't make a public apology immediately, we're gonna like blacklist you from like every industry. So then he had to make a public apology after he just basically just said I shouldn't have canceled the show without telling me,
Yeah.
But like that sucked. I think another thing that was similar was that there was a show called The Oddblongs that was also made by this guy who also made the comic strip, and he was like a big cartoonist guy. He always wanted to make a cartoon of it, and he did. And it was just one season. But like this was back in the early 2000s where like Twitter wasn't really that much of a thing. Like there wasn't really that much of anything going on. It was just a couple of message boards that people were going on, that if you really wanted to talk to your creator of a show, that's where you'd go. And he was pretty active on those. He was one of the few creators that was really active. One day, one of his fans on the messenger board said to him like, oh, I heard your show got canceled. And then he replied, oh, they wouldn't cancel my show without telling me. So it's like, I would have known about it before you if they canceled it. And then like later that day, he found out that they canceled it. And then he felt so sad that he felt like he was going to throw up. Like, cause that was like his life's work.
Yeah. Your life's work into something like it would, I think it would hurt anybody, right? Like you do something your whole life, or you put a lot of effort into something and it gets taken away, or I mean it's just like lousy deals even with artists in the music industry, like they get these lousy deals. They pay you up front. Like it's basically a loan. They give you $1 million up front, but you have to pay them that $1 million back. It's not like they just give you free money. Yeah. They're hoping that you make music with it, go out and spend it and get studio time and whatever, have other artists collaborate with them. Yeah. And then, so hopefully your album or your music does successful so that you can make the money back. And the first thing you got to do is pay them. You got to pay a percentage to them so that you pay back the loan of $1 million. Then the rest of, after you get past that $1 million, then you get to have the profits of it. But then they still take a percentage after that. Yeah. Like it's so like such in favor of the record label that people are now realizing, like this artist Russ. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's an independent artist that just releases his music on all the platforms.
And he pays for it himself, or
he just pays for it himself.
Yeah, he has better control that way.
Yeah, you own all the property, you own all the music, but like you said, the advertising for it isn't as big. Like if you have a record label, you could get it out on billboards. You're in cities around the world. They have all these connections. But what he realized was, instead of asking these record labels, why not go to the connections that they're using? So instead of him paying record labels to go to the billboard guys, he went straight to the billboard guys and started paying them. So now he could get into the advertising thing that the record labels are doing, but he owns all the content. He owns everything.
So I think I figured out what you could like title the podcast. Say cancel projects. Yeah.
Cancel projects.
Cancel projects.
No. The hardships of man.
We're going at 2 hours now. I think we should.
Oh yeah,
wrap
for
it
sure,
up.
for sure. You know what? Thanks for having us on, by the way. Again, I appreciate the hell out of it.
But I do want to mention though, this whole abuse with animators though. I think if more and more people become aware of it though, there will be more push to unionize more of this stuff. I mean, there have been people who've tried, but I think if more like your general public knew about what was going on, there would be a lot more push. Yeah. But I mean, there are counter attempts to try and sway this. There's more animators on YouTube now, and people are just trying to be as independent as possible.
I think it's best if you own your own labor. That's for any strategy. Yeah. Like if
it's possible for you,
if
own
you
your
can't
shit,
just avoid the big networks, because if you join them, you're going to continue.
Plus, they might give you more freedom in the beginning, but then maybe they'll change their mind if you make a lot of money.
Plus, you give them all this power over you that you don't want. Like there's executives and producers I would hate doing this podcast if it was owned by some network, right? They would come and tell me, "Hey,
don't
the
turn
notes,
into Vox."
The notes were like, "Oh, the retention went down at 30 minutes. You need to fucking not talk about this topic." And I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just having fun with people, and hopefully that inspires people, and hopefully it makes a positive impact. But all I'm doing is just having a good time and talking about things that interest me. And in the process of it, you learn. Not everything's going to be great all the time. You learn some things that didn't work, and then you learn things that work, and eventually you start to create something that's pretty amazing,
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't happen right away, but as long as you keep doing it consistently and not allow other people's opinions to influence you, you'll do. It doesn't matter what field it is, you'll be successful at it.
Like your shirt says, be change.
Be change.
That's that's a good tagline for the shirt. That was a good segue.
Dude, that's a good title. There you go.
Those shirts, you can buy those shirts, by the way, guys.
They're nice quality shirts.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'll link the website in the description so anybody can check it out. You guys have anything to plug? Not yet.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe. You want to plug your Instagram handle?
I'll put that. Sure, I'll leave it in the description.
Follow me on Oscar _ Kobos _33.
Because you also have one just for history, right?
I have _ the Kaiserreich.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a little more spicy. I don't know if you guys want to put that.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm glad we got to do this, and hopefully we get to do it more in the future.
For sure,
you know?
for sure, yeah. You know?
You guys could write those
this-
books.
Every movie needs its trilogy.
I'll actually, I'll miss this particular space because this was the last time
Yeah,
we're
this is
doing
gonna
it.
be the
right?
last time we're in this space.
I'm honored that I was the last. We were the two last
dude.
people you interviewed.
When you become really big, you got to turn this into the pilgrimage site. It's a museum.
yeah,
people will come here
when
to see
Yeah, when this gets big, you gotta get like a windowless room.
Yeah. It will. I'm looking into it so that the lighting is perfect every time. That it doesn't matter if it's night or
Day.
Yeah.
Totally.
But
Some
yeah,
of the lights.
this space was amazing. Like so many memories here.
I mean,
just
you
the
and
amount of
Rob
conversations.
Oh shit, Rob,
Robert, yeah,
Rob robbed us.
Robert.
yeah, the amount of conversations held here. The like
Shout out to
just
Robert.
the change in general. Like from last year to this year, it's been a crazy.
Oh yeah. He actually wanted to show you something.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
we have a drink here.
Check this out.
I got
this
show it
from,
off. We just
I got
wanted to show it off.
lemonade.
I got this in Northern California.
Damn, for the people that wanna
Hey,
tag
for
is
the
pretty great.
culture.
Hey.
It's actually it's funny.
It's like strawberry lemonade or something.
Yeah. basically.
no, it's alcohol. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, even if it was, I'll probably drink it at home. I'm fine with alcohol, but yeah.
All right.
But
My
yeah, I'll
parents
get
are.
a bottle opener. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we could drink it. Yeah. How does it taste though?
I think it just tastes like lemonade. It's
I think
been,
I
it's been 3
had
years
it a
since I
long
had
time
it.
ago. One time we
Okay.
brought it to my house like 2-3 years ago
Yeah.
during the pandemic, I believe.
yeah.
And then he just brought it, and then we just drank
But
it.
this is crazy
Yeah.
though. Like, who sells this shit?
They sell it a lot on novelty stores and stuff.
I kind of
Yeah.
missed the pandemic.
Before we end the
tastes worth
podcast,
Standing in line for. Yeah.
before we end the podcast, I want to
Before,
mention.
yeah, dude, the pandemic, I gotta be honest, I'm not adjusting well post-pandemic. There's too many people at my school. It's
yeah.
crowded as hell. I just wanted to say that before we end.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have mentioned something. It's kind of funny. So like, I get him something for his birthday and stuff, and he's not very an emotional guy. I'm not gonna lie, not very emotional. So I get him this bottle with a great African leader. I'm not gonna say his name for controversy reasons.
Oh yeah, he's an African leader.
Yeah, and he's like, "This is the best gift I've ever gotten for you," and I'm like, I buy you fucking books and comics, and this shit is the one thing you're excited about.
I was
It's
so stoked for it though.
yeah, dude, he still has it.
I still have it in my fridge. I'll just say it. It's a Gaddafi soda. Gaddafi was an African leader.
And that's how I didn't become president.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
They're gonna look at this podcast up.
Yeah, if I'm
clip
not,
it.
I don't have any aspirations to become a politician, and if I did, this would definitely fuck me over for sure.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, whatever.
It's okay.
I don't. It's a good thing. I'm
It's
not.
not about the race. It's about the friends you made along
Yeah.
the way.
It's about the.
Yeah.
Fun.
By the way, Shy, you ever run for like political office? I'm not saying you want to, but if you do, right?
Yeah.
It's a podcast. You're probably suppressing.
That's why I don't like.
Don't
That's
worry.
good. That's
It's-
good. That's good.
Don't
You
worry.
got nothing to
Something
threaten you
in
with,
me
yeah.
has always been about like free thinking
Yeah,
and
for
free
sure.
spirit. Like
your
I've
Instagram,
never.
your Instagram handle says public figure, so
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, like it's. I've never been somebody who likes to have conservative beliefs or liberal beliefs or anything in that nature or picking sides.
yeah, you're like an open thinker.
I'm just open for all ideas.
Sure.
And
Yep.
I'm just curious. I'm curious
That's-
about life. I'm curious
that's how
about
it should
people.
be.
Absolutely,
And I
totally
want,
agree.
I want to just live a life that's fulfilling and happy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
Don't we all?
definition is different for everyone, right? Like it's not.
Oh, absolutely,
It's different
yeah.
from me. It's different from you. It's different for everybody listening. But just know that I wish that upon everybody to be happy in their own right, whatever that means to them, successful, whatever that means to you.
Yeah,
you know?
I hope you wish everybody their own definition of success.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Whatever
So-
you want to do, just do it, and
Yeah,
you know,
just do it.
and don't do it because of other people's opinions or what society might think and what traditions and
Yeah.
everything that people have been saying. And no, just as long as you enjoy it and the happiness that you get from it, it'll be worth it. Like don't live with regret. You know, I want to like that's something that I think about a lot is like me on my deathbed thinking of
Regret.
all the
yeah.
things that I wish I would have done.
I
And
think
that's
that
why-
sometimes before I go to sleep, I don't even have to die.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like already super
yeah,
regretful,
exactly.
but you know, it's good to do the opposite of what I'm doing. So good on that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to regret the places you didn't go, the people you didn't meet, the girl you didn't ask on a date. You know, you want to live a full life, and so.
Remember that thing I said about the redirection thing, though.
What redirection?
Yeah, I remember rejection could be redirection.
Yeah, exactly.
Change is inevitable.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the failure. You're gonna fail. You're gonna have fun along the journey, and
I mean, if you never fail at anything, it just means you haven't tried enough things.
exactly. And I think that's a good way to end this. And again, thank you guys for coming on.
yeah.
Thank
no
you so
problem.
much, bro.
Yeah,
Mutual aid stand on Instagram if you care.
yeah, that'll be in the description. Everything's
Yeah,
in the
for sure.
description.
For
If you want to
sure.
buy some
Cocos
lemonade,
3.
go to the store.
Lemonade.
Fucking-
In the
yeah.
store? Where did you get that?
I got that at the Alien Jerky store on the way to Vegas.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but
Quick-
you can go to like Irvine Spectrum and they sell those
All
there
right, quick
too.
plug for the lemonade. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Peace.
Much love.